that grows with each student and is easy to share, ready for reporting, graduation readiness tracking, and meaningful conversations.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. So this really is an amazing tool. It is a Utah-based company, and it is funded by the state of Utah. And really thinking about how do we support our students. We know that throughout the country we have this, epidemic of disengagement from the education experience, especially public ed. So this is really about not just re-engaging our students, but helping them be convinced of why school matters and what their aptitudes are and strengths are. Many of our students come into this not really feel like they have any strengths or any direction to go. And this really, I think, one of the greatest benefits from this, and I appreciate Gina and JJ who have helped help us understand this platform better, is really to help our students know, hey, I have these strengths and these aptitudes that really tie into my future, and we're really starting that in 7th grade and then building on that in 9th grade to really give them, really this pathway and this plan. And then it also has a work-based learning platform they're rolling out, so we can manage all of our work-based learning, internships and everything through this platform as well. And then the family portal, I think, is a new addition as well to involve the family in this planning and helping them see the aptitudes of their student and how to support them. So it's really exciting. Just one last data point I want to share with you is 71% of students say they would be more engaged if they understood their aptitudes and how they connect to real careers in their own future. So I think this is the tool that can help us do that in San Juan. I'm happy to answer questions as best I can. I don't see Gina's here, so we might invite her up if it's too technical.
All right, go ahead.
No, you probably said this and I missed it, but so they start in 7th grade. How often do they interact with this program? Is it?
So once they do their initial assessment, they can interact with it as often as they like. They have access to the information and all the tools that are in there. It's used as part of our CCA.
CCR?
Yes.
So it'll be our CCR day activities?
It's our CCR, but also our CCA classes can also access this information and can be used as part of that coursework that we do as well. So
Starting
7th
to 7th all the way through.
Starting to 7th and then going all the way through.
Awesome.
Yep. Which also gives data for us as a school district to say what are the aptitudes, what are the interests, as we really look at interest surveys and how to better offer course offerings and opportunities for students aligned to the interests that are there. That's been a big push for us this year, is really trying to get a better feel for what students really are interested in, so they are more engaged in our public ed system.
Love that it has a family component too. It's outstanding.
Yeah, I like giving them opportunity for ownership of their goals and not just blindly feeling like they're being drug along, whether it's by their parents or their peers or their teachers. So that sounds great.
It's called U-Science.
U-Science, Y-O-U. And I can send out to the board a link, so if you want to look more into it, I can.
And this is all
Great.
online.
Okay. It looks like the next item is What Works in Schools, which is a grant that we've previously funded, and just an assessment piece, I assume.
Yeah, so this is a grant that we already have received or have received services for. So this is the research component of the grant. So they're seeking board approval for this research component of the grant. So I believe they're on virtually and will be presenting virtually.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Dr. Colleen Murray, and I am going to be walking you through the presentation today. And I have two colleagues on the phone or on virtually joining, Dr. Sarah Conklin, and then I also have Dr. Clara Martinez, who I believe some of you know. Clara has been a longstanding partner with the San Juan School District for many years in the research and evaluation space. And so we collectively are going to share today What Works in Schools, the demonstration project, and really what this means for the San Juan School District. So as mentioned, this is a 5-year grant, and this was funded in 2024. And the purpose of this grant is really to understand how school districts, particularly rural districts serving American Indian and Alaskan Native, implement evidence-based strategies that support student health, wellness, and engagement. And this project notably builds on things that your district is already doing, including peacemaking, Unity Club, and other peer-led initiatives. And I should mention this is a CDC-funded grant through the Division of Adolescent and School Health. And so the What Works in School strategy areas, just for some context, there are 4 areas. They are health services, safe and supportive environments, health education, and then community engagement. And ideally, these 4 strategies, when implemented together, have shown to impact student outcomes in a positive way. So increased student engagement in schools, higher attendance, better access to health services, students report more engaging student environments. And so that's really what the What Works in School strategy areas are, but I won't go into that. This is a 5-year project. Again, it runs through September 2024 and all the way until September 2029. And it includes 3 main parts. There is a formative assessment, which we have already completed. This helps to guide project development. So myself, Sarah, and Clara, we had the opportunity to visit San Juan School District in November of 2025. We got to meet the superintendent. We took a tour of different schools, as well as some of our project team conducted just group discussions with staff just to learn more about the district and the different things that you all are doing for the students in the San Juan School District. And then there are 2 other components, and these are the ones that we're really going to talk about today briefly. One is an evaluation, and this is just to highlight the different wellness programs, activities, and services that your district provides to students. We know that your school district is unique in its geographic location, in its student makeup, and we want to highlight those wonderful things, again, that your school district is already doing. And then the last component, because this is a research grant, there is a pilot component, and we are proposing to conduct a pilot professional development training for staff and teachers in the district about culturally centered supports for American Indian students. And so it's really how to support all students, but more importantly, to make sure that culture is centered and just to better equip teachers to support students. Okay, so next slide. So in terms of impact on the district and schools, there are some immediate benefits. So the school district receives $100,000 annually over 5 years for this project, and this helps support continued implementation of wellness programs, activities, and services. And then also, the district will receive tailored professional development trainings, which we will help to create in collaboration with the school district. And these will be available for ongoing use. So even after this project ends, the professional development trainings will be yours and will be available for the district to use. They can repurpose as needed. And then also, the school district will receive comprehensive evaluation findings of the health programs and wellness services that your school district offers. So once the project is done, we will prepare reports. We hope to provide products and just things that will be useful for your school district. So this is a cooperative agreement, which means that all parties involved in this grant work collaboratively together. So we are really working hand in hand with your district to be able to just showcase the wonderful work. So evaluation findings, once we have these, they can really help strengthen and enhance existing health and wellness programs, activities, and services. And by having evaluation findings and data on your school district, this can support efforts to secure additional grant funding in the future. Also, San Juan School District's innovative and forward-thinking approach will be highlighted. And then ultimately, we hope that by showcasing these things, you will be able to show that student outcomes have been improving, like school connectedness, student attendance, and student mental, social, and behavioral health. And this can serve as a blueprint for other school districts that serve Native American students. Important to note is that this is the only grant of its kind right now in the United States. So the CDC funded 3 projects, 2 of which are focusing only on rural students, how to better support rural students. And then this project, again, it is quite unique because it is the only one that focuses on rural as well as Native American students to highlight the different supports that the school district is providing. So we know that there are other school districts out there in the country that are similar, but they may not be doing the things that your school district is doing. So findings from this project can really serve as a way to provide guidance to other school districts that are serving similar populations. Okay, next slide. So to generate the findings from this project, we are proposing using a combination of existing data and then carefully planned community-informed input. So we're proposing that in the spring, starting this spring, ideally, that our team would review different secondary data sources, which we have listed here. So these are things that are already being collected across the school district. This data will be de-identified. Most of this is just counts. So an example is school administrative data. Types of data could be student attendance, rates of suspensions, expulsions, health services data, so number of students that are screened for mental and behavioral health services, number of students that are referred for counseling or receiving services or participating in peacemaking. Also, we're very interested in the Heritage Language Program because that is a unique aspect within your district. So the number of courses that are offered, the number of students that participate, perhaps the number of initiatives or events that take place throughout the school year, and then lastly, the SHARP data. And we would request the SHARP data directly through the state. And so we would obtain that, again, de-identified data. So then there are a number of primary data collection activities that we are proposing for this work. The first 3 that are listed here, key informant interviews, a school inventory form, and then listening sessions, are data collection activities that would be conducted at different time points. You'll see here key informant interviews. We're just proposing that this happens one time in 2027. This is with adults, a small number, so 30 teachers, staff, and community partners. So it could be a combination of those. All of these activities are voluntary and they are incentivized. And again, the goal for these data collection pieces is really to fill in the gaps. It's to collect qualitative data to better understand some of the nuances and things that we can't capture through the secondary data sources alone. So there's a school inventory form. That's something that we would be developing in conjunction with the school district, and this would be a way for us to just better capture some of those things like number of services, how many students participated. No names or any identifying information will be collected. So ideally, the school inventory would be completed by a school social worker, so just one at each middle and high school. And we're only focusing on middle and high schools for this grant, so no elementary school participation. And that would just be done once a year. And then listening sessions, these we would like to open up to parents or families of students. And this is really to better understand their perspectives on how they feel the district is supporting them, the different activities that they've participated in. And you'll see here that we would attempt to do this again only one time in 2027, and we would hope to conduct approximately 5 to 7 sessions. And the goal is for us to come in person to do these listening sessions. The key informant interviews could be virtual or in person, depending on preference. And then the final 2 activities here on this slide, focus groups and digital storytelling, these do involve student participation. We understand the value of student voice. And so we were proposing a small number of focus groups with high school students. This could be conducted just one time in 2027. And it's really to understand what they like about the different activities that are offered in the district, services that are provided at their school, just the school environment, connectedness. We would work closely with principals at the schools, the superintendent, to work out all logistics for this, and we would have quite a bit of time to plan for these to do this right. We do have an active parental consent form that we've developed for this, so this would require that parents are fully aware of the discussion groups and that their child would be able to participate. And then the last activity here is a digital storytelling activity. And this is an activity that we would propose would happen within the context of a club or an existing group that meets at school. So for example, we have proposed that this could be something that could be done in unity clubs, which we know that most schools have unity clubs in the school district. And this is really a way for students to photo voice and digital storytelling as a way that they could take pictures that could capture things that are meaningful to them. And it's a way that we could better understand just things that are important to them. Okay, I think we can go to the next slide, Sarah. Okay, and we are getting close to the end. So the professional development pilot, which I did mention before, this is one of the components that we are developing and that we are proposing to test to see if this is useful, if it's effective. And so this is a training that we are going to be offering to teachers and staff. There are 4 different topics that will be covered in the training, and it is going to be asynchronous. So this is something that staff, teachers, and others can take on their own time. It will be delivered virtually across the next school year, so 2026-2027 academic year. And this, again, will be developed in conjunction with the school district. So we've shared some materials already with the district. This is something that we talked about when we visited in November to understand what types of professional development is already happening, what can we perhaps provide that could be an enhancement to better support teachers and staff. And so for participation in this pilot activity to test out these different training modules, teachers and staff can receive up to $250 for each completed module. So again, this will be on their time, it's voluntary, but as a thank you and as a way to say how much we appreciate feedback and participation, this will be also incentivized. Ideally, this will all be grounded in Indigenous philosophies and the San Juan School District approach to student wellness, which takes into account all of the different activities that are being offered currently in the district, and really trying to connect and build a solid foundation on better equipping teachers and staff for classroom practice, how to support students, and instruction. And then to evaluate the professional development, there are a few more data collection activities because we want to understand, was the training valuable? Did teachers find it useful? Are there things that they wish we would have covered that weren't covered? And so there are 2 additional data collection activities here, and these are for those who participate in the training. So the first is just a pre-post survey. So up to 40 teachers or staff are eligible to participate in the pilot and take the training modules, and then we would offer this pre and post survey to those individuals. Again, they would take a pre-survey before they complete the modules and then a brief post survey after. And this again is incentivized. And it really is to better understand changes in knowledge, skills, and attitudes following participation. And then lastly, to supplement the pre and post surveys, we are going to ask for up to 10 teachers and staff who participated in the professional development pilot to also participate in a brief interview. Again, to better understand things that we might not have been able to gather through the survey alone, to share experiences and just thoughts. And so those teacher interviews are here, and they also will be incentivized. So in closing, I just want to recap that this project does bring sustained funding and supports to strengthen existing efforts that are ongoing in your school district. It also will generate practical district-owned learning about how to best support student health and wellness. And we appreciate your time and support today covering this. I know it was a lot. It was very high level, and we are happy to answer any questions that you may have, if time permits.
I feel like we should allow some time for questions, so I'm not sure. Obviously, it's already happening. So what questions do you have?
Might have a question.
Ron?
So I think it mentioned this I read through there, but at what point will this data come back to the board? Will we be able to see what you are putting together and how it's coming together and what we can learn from it?
Oh, yes. We can, as soon as we start to collect data, we are happy to join meetings. We can present kind of, I think at different intervals throughout the project, we can present preliminary data with the board and also others at the district. And yes, it is meant to be a very collaborative experience. And Sarah, please feel free to chime in here too.
Thank you.
Do you have questions, Lucille, or do you need a minute?
This is already going on
Yes.
in the schools as far as peacemaking, the Unity Club, and this
Yes.
program is a good program. And
Any way we can support it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and any way we can support it, the kids really benefit from this program. And I see it, and it's good.
Colleen, did you have any comments or questions you wanted to add?
I did have a question, and please excuse my tardiness. Technology, as we know, was never 100%. So glad to be here, and thank you for your presentation. I did have a few questions. It says screen for mental health, and I must have missed that part, but it says, is it voluntary, or was that part of the prerequisite, or is that part of the survey?
No, so, and Sarah, I don't know if you want to cover this, but it is, okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to, Colleen. So,
Okay.
and I think Colleen might have mentioned this, but some of the work is also an extension or a complement of the AWARE grant work
forgot to
that
mention,
San Juan
yes.
also has. So those data sources are actually, or data points, data that are being collected for that grant, and they relate to the purposes of this grant as well. So we're hoping to request those. And they are de-identified and part of the AWARE program. So to our understanding, yes, students and families consent to those services.
And then for the digital storytelling, is that something the students are putting together and presenting, or is it in collaboration with what you're doing as well?
That was an activity we proposed as like a student-led data collection, kind of light. The goal is to take pictures or a story or some, meaningful piece of art, and then share a little bit about why it's meaningful to the student and how it helps connect them to the school or community.
I'm usually the person that asks the most questions, so I have quite a few, and
That's
so
all
excuse me
right.
for hogging all the time, I think. Like Lucille, like school board member Cody said, we have this already going in through the school. My other question is, how much more beneficial will this be? I like to be very conservative, also at the same time question how much time we're allowing for our students to be not interrupted, but take away from their regular studies. So I'm very cautious on what we do with that. So I just wanted to know, how does this differ from any other data-driven study, surveys, and all that? And again, I probably missed it, so if you could just reiterate that, I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, to start, I think that it fills some gaps in that some of these data to highlight all of the work that's happening in the schools or district aren't currently being collected. So, or they're not currently being maybe gathered and summarized in the same way with other data sources. So the goal of this is really to try to take some of the work that's already been done or that you're implementing. So we wouldn't be implementing anything new with those activities like peacemaking and Unity Club, anything related to that. We're really just trying to bring in that data, bring in those data from the different sources to show how supportive these programs and initiatives can be for students. So we're trying the best we can to use all data that are already being collected and then try to fill in the gaps with the qualitative data collection. So, and trying to triangulate that with families and teachers and staff too, so we can really, one, not try to disrupt school time too much for students, and then, have those perspectives from everyone. And so we hope that we can work with the Unity Club to make the digital storytelling part, maybe an activity the club participates in, since it really aligns with a lot of the goals. So the goal was to minimize student data collection, so we have those down to those 2 data collection points, and hope that the one can really be an activity as well, that if the school sees value in, they can continue.
And just to add, regarding the student focus groups, in other projects that we've done with other school districts, we've worked hard with administrators at the individual schools to find a time that is not impeding on instructional time. So this could be right before school, this could be after, this could be over lunch, and then we would provide lunch for the students so that they could eat during the focus group. So we would be very mindful of instructional time so that we would not take away any outside time for students where they were supposed to be participating in educational activities.
And one more, if I could.
Wait,
It says,
Colleen, wait just a sec. Can we let
Yes.
Clara?
oh,
Oh,
sorry. go
yes.
ahead.
Thank you.
Claire.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that, the thinking around the leadership clubs and the student storytelling. And, I see it as an opportunity for the leadership to focus on something that the students are really interested in, and then have them do that storytelling around it, so that it's really a leadership activity. It's really useful for this grant too, and we're asking to do it, but it's also a great activity to do with the leadership clubs, which I attend those meetings that Brenda runs every month, and have attended many events with those students, so they could decide what they want to talk about, what's meaningful to them, what's useful, and so it wouldn't be extra add-on or anything like that. I think it would be really a kind of seamless usefulness.
Thank you. You had one more question, Colleen?
Thank you, Nan. I do. It also in your presentation, it says culturally centered. And that was another thing. My question was, who's your cultural expertise? Is it the students? Is it Brenda? And how and what capacity are they helping you do this? Because I know it's a pilot program, which means there's going to be a lot of things that were going to be new or that we're not so sure about. But one thing that you know about, if you know about us natives, is that we're a little guarded, we're a little holding back on what's shared. So are you just going off of the information that's already out there, or I guess more or less, who's your cultural expert?
Yes. Very good question. So, yes, we definitely want to draw on Brenda's expertise, and we've spoken to her when we were there in November, and then we've shared the materials thus far, just outlines with her. We also have 2 individuals on our team who are not, I don't know if they're listening, but that are tribal evaluation specialists that are a part of our team. And then we have an expert advisory panel also, which are made, there are 6 individuals on that panel, and they are all Native and have different capacities. Their work in education, they have work in evaluation, and so everything that we develop is also going to go to them for input and guidance. And then we're hoping that we can also draw on, if anyone is interested in the board that would like to be involved, we would love to have additional eyes and insight on this, because we really do want to make it the best that we can. And we acknowledge, that I acknowledge myself that I am not, while I may be a researcher, my expertise is limited in certain areas. And so we are drawing on lived experience, as well as, any suggestions that you all have. And so we've shared the first round of outlines, and we're hoping to get some feedback. And so if that's something that we would be happy to share that with this group as well.
I think so. And I think that would just be beneficial to us,
Yeah.
because, we have 574 nations within the country alone.
Yes.
And so what one Diné is being taught is totally different from Lakota or
Right.
Standing Rock, or, all these different nations. So I just wanted to make sure that we're, again, culturally mindful about our area, especially it being a pilot program, as well as to other nations too. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Thank you for that question.
Okay, go ahead, Clara.
The other heritage language teachers are also the experts.
Yes.
At all of the other schools. And when we go to Unity Club and have, the events, they're all there with their students from their schools. And so those teachers are also part of the expert team. And, it's up to Brenda how much she wants to lean into their expertise, but they're available as well.
Okay, before we move on, I did have a couple questions. Who specifically are the points of contact for this particular study project at the district?
So our student services director is the main point of contact.
Okay, and then Brenda is also
Yes.
supplementing with that, plus other heritage language teachers, as you said, and we are receiving compensation for their time somewhat, or not really?
No, there's no
It's
this is
just what they're
part of-
already doing?
Right, because we're already running the NYCP grant for the
Okay.
Native Youth Council. We're already running many of these programs, the heritage language programs, so
So
it just
it's not
aligns
adding
with.
extra.
They've done a great job in writing this grant so that it aligns with the work. Like our peacemaking is already happening. This isn't just a new addition, so. And, this is an area when we look at the professional development that we have a need for. When we've done, our needs assessment, this is an area that we have a need for developing professional development for our teachers. So this allows us to be able to do that in collaboration with some experts. So we're hoping, and like was shared with Colleen at the beginning, we will be able to continue to use that professional development long after this grant is over, so.
Well, I think that's great. Anything that we can do to improve student success while being culturally sensitive, not only because some of our students have strengths that aren't always being recognized, that when we lean into their culture, they can really shine.
And then I just would highlight Dr. Martinez's work with us for many, many, many years. So she's been very involved with our grant writing. And so, I mean, she really is an expert in how we braid these different programs together and is very aware of the work that we're doing in our school district. So the fact that she's part of this as well is tells you we've got some good alignment from the work that we do.
All right, and specifically, what are we approving today as far as assessment?
Research, the research components in this grant. So
Okay,
that's what
so
they
we're
were.
allowing them to pull that data, and we're also allowing them to do the surveys and those kinds of things. So that's what we would be approving today. Does everybody understand that aspect of it? Okay, just wanted to be
Yeah.
clear. Thank you. Okay, I think we can, anyone else, or are we good to move on?
I don't know if anybody's asked you, but is there anything that we could do perhaps to help you with your research? Or a component that you might be missing that you feel will be beneficial to your research?
I think, one, I think we're still just trying to work through the best way to collaborate so we do get all of the voices. And so, because we really value that and understand that the success of this project really is in the local, making sure we're, representing the culture and have all of the voices, the local voices present. So I think that really, the review of the outlines, the instruments, all of that, what we've done so far is what we're proposing, but we are very open to feedback on how that can best meet the district needs. So I think feedback is probably just really the best support for us at this point. And Colleen, Clara, I don't know if there's anything you would add.
I think I also
No, I would
heard-
agree.
I think I also heard that you were open to board members, especially Native American board members, individually being part of a collaborative group to provide input.
Yes.
So that's something that I'll put out there too, that you guys can be aware if you want to volunteer and help with that aspect also. There's 3 of us, so that's exciting. All right. I think we're good. Thank you. Thanks for meeting with us.
Thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you all.
All right. The next item is secondary reading intervention curriculum adoption. So welcome, Jeff. Coming up and tell us what you know. Yeah.
All right. There it is, I think. I don't know. Okay. So hopefully I won't need 5 minutes for each of these, but we are at a point, as I was looking through our curricular adoptions, that quite a few of our curricula are old. Let's put it nicely there. And one of those is our secondary reading curriculum. We haven't looked at that since I've been here, and this is my 5th year here in the district. So, and I think it's a couple years beyond that we haven't looked at it. So we've had a couple of our secondary reading classes piloting Read 180, which is another secondary reading intervention curriculum. We are also taking a look at Voyager Sopris Language Live, which is what we are currently using, and Lexia Power Up for literacy. So we're currently using Language Live, except for in the 2 schools that are piloting Read 180. We've also used Power Up quite a lot in our classes, so we're really familiar with all 3 programs. Read 180 is kind of the new one we're bringing in and looking at. But what the purpose of this is to mention this to the board. This is going to go up on the website for a month long. I hope you got my chat to put that on there. Okay.
Okay.
Work with Jacob to get it on the website with all the information that people would need. But I would like to bring a proposed curriculum for a vote to the board in June for this so that we can adopt. But I'd like to answer any questions that you have.
So right now, what you're saying is you've been trying out a few.
Mhm.
You have one in particular that you're wanting to adopt,
Yes.
but for now, you're just going to put it out there, let us kind of review it, let the
Yeah.
other teachers and parents provide input if they'd like to.
Yes.
And then at that point, you'll bring it to us and we will
Right.
vote.
So it will go through committee. So it follows our full curriculum process. So the first step is to bring it to the board to say we are looking at holding that. This is just
Okay.
a little bit more tightened deadline because we've already piloted the materials.
Okay.
So that curriculum team will come together within the next 30 days. And then it's also giving an opportunity for public comment and having that available for the public to review before our board meeting next month. So
Okay.
that's what this is, to inform the board that process is happening.
So it's already happening, but now you're giving us access to it. Plus, we do have a curriculum, couple board members that are involved in that committee as
Well, they'll
well.
be invited to participate.
Okay.
Vote.
I-
Using a rubric.
Any questions
Any
related to that?
questions?
I think you did a good job of explaining that, so hopefully let us know when that's up so that we can look at it.
Yeah. And I'm hoping to convene the committee pretty soon.
Okay.
Because it'll mostly be reading teachers, and I don't want them here after school.
Yeah.
So, all right. And then my other one is also curriculum-based, our secondary math. I can't even find when that was adopted. I've asked the company, and they can't remember. It's been a long time. Anyway, this one is not as tight of a deadline. What I am proposing for secondary math is that, so we met with the secondary math team a couple weeks ago, and they want to pilot, they have programs that they want to pilot. So we're looking at piloting Amplify Desmos, which we just adopted for elementary, Accelerated Learning, which was one of the other programs we looked at for elementary, and Big Ideas Math, which we're already using. The math team has separated out so that each curriculum will be piloted in the vast majority of our schools. The only one that won't have both in it is Navajo Mountain, because that's a big ask of one teacher to pilot several programs. But all our other secondary schools will have these programs being piloted in them. It'll be a year-long pilot. The companies provide those pilots for free. They provide training. We really want to look at the programs and decide what's going to be best for our students. We will also be arranging quarterly visits for teachers to go down and observe in other classrooms where these are being taught, so that we really get a full spectrum of what is out there. And then, again, we'll follow the process we did with elementary, where we'll look in February and March, put a committee together, and make that decision. So, any questions about that?
And just of note that the state board has not determined yet if they are going to continue with integrated math or move to the AGA Algebra Geometry Algebra 2 model. So we will not adopt until that decision has been made, so that our curriculum aligns with that shift and change. And we'll ensure that the curriculum company allows us, because that will be a transition for students and teachers probably having to teach dual ways. So we'll ensure that the new curriculum would, if that does change to AGA, that we'll have a plan in place for that with the new curriculum.
Yeah, and as I was talking to the vendors, they all offer both AGA and integrated math, and they're aware of the situation in Utah, so they will work with us. Thanks, Superintendent. I forgot about that part.
Okay, so we will need to be deciding about the reading intervention curriculum, but this one,
This one's farther out.
yep, thank you.
So, all right, any
Okay.
questions?
Any questions?
I have a question.
Okay, Colleen, go
Okay.
ahead.
Would we be able to get links to those, the ones that you're interested in, for the for the reading piloting programs?
Yeah.
Or just so we can check it out ourselves as well, too? I mean,
Yes,
that'd be something
I'll
I'd be
actually-
interested in.
Yes, sorry I cut you off, but yes, I will
No,
send
you're
those
fine.
out as soon as I sit back down. I'll send them out
Okay.
to the board.
Great, thank you.
Huh?
All right,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you. All right, we'll turn the time back over to Dr. Fitzgerald.
All right, so I just want to highlight our highly effective teachers and high poverty schools program that the state USBE administers, and we choose to participate with matching funds. So we have quite a few teachers who have been awarded this year. We're still going out, and I know we've had a few board members come with us, and we still have a few more to do. But just to remind us of what this means, and these teachers were notified by USBE even prior to us getting notification of the awardees. But this is based upon data from 2 years ago, and teachers receive a $7,000 bonus for having the high student achievement scores. So if it's on a RISE assessment, it's a 70% or higher in student growth. So pretty significant student growth across the board. If it's in K1, 2, or 3, it's at 85% typical or better, percent of their students that are scoring typical or better in their growth on either Acadience, math, or literacy. So we're just super excited that we continue to be able to participate in this program, and anytime we can honor our teachers and the great work they're doing and give them $7,000, we will take that and be excited about it. So you have the list of the names, and I'll continue to message the board, so if you want to participate in those awards, you can. We have a couple more left. Thank you.
It's exciting to see that we're doing well in math and science, and maybe we need to find out what Maury Richmond's doing in reading. No, it's great that we have quality teachers and that they are making a difference with helping students achieve. So, go ahead and, any other comments or questions? We'll go ahead and move on to the collateral.
I'm super excited to bring the strategic planning collateral for your feedback. This is a very polished collateral that we'll be using to share our strategic plan with our community, with parents, students, and we will have a shortened version of this as well. Appreciate Eva and all of her work and dedication in helping this look as wonderful as it does. Really, I brought this to you previously that kind of had an outline. This is more of all the graphics look better. Your recommendations from last time have been integrated. I know all of you weren't super thrilled about your picture, but if you'll approve your picture today, I think it turned out very nice having you on there, and it also gives all of our community the opportunity to see who you are as board members, although they can watch you on YouTube as well, see you as often as they would like. But really, just in a quick review, this is a pretty standard format. We've been working with Educational Elements in developing this. They do strategic planning across the nation with school districts. It really is aligning our quest model with what our strategic plan has in place. So would appreciate any feedback you might have, as this will be today we're asking for an action item for a final approval so that we can begin moving forward with communication.
Well, thank you, Eva, for your contribution. It does look a lot more polished than it did the last time we saw it, and I know a lot of that has to do with you making sure that they understood the vision that we were trying to get with that, and also all the pictures that you shared. So that would just be my comment, but I'm going to leave it open to anybody else that wants to say something.
I would just add that it looks great. I'm excited to have this, to know that we have this in place. It's a lot of work to get to this point. I know that for a fact, and I think it's work well done. So thank you.
Thank you.
It is a work well done, and to have it in the Ute language and the Navajo.
I saw that
which
too.
is
Yes.
very touchy.
Yes.
It's beautiful. I guess very colorful. So, yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
All right.
Okay.
I love it. I think, Eva, I think you did a wonderful job. Thank you for that. My only question is, right there on the letter from superintendent, there's kind of our pictures. Do we need a title that we're the board members, or are we just going to be floating heads on Christie's letter there?
Yeah, we can add something there.
Like
That's a great recommendation.
Board members
Yeah.
on top or something, yeah.
Thank you, Colleen. I think that was a good point.
No problem. I just didn't want to be like, can you
Who
make
are these
sure?
guys?
Who are these
Yeah.
wonderful people?
I always wanted to be a floating head.
Right. And then maybe a filter on my photo again, too, please. Thank you.
And I guess if you need to make mine fit on one line, you can change it to Nan if you have to. Graphically speaking, it probably looks better with Nan. Even though I do like my name. Thanks.
Thank you for the feedback.
Okay. They're not deal breakers, but yeah. It's helpful. Okay, on to the fun stuff. Laura, would you like to come up and show us a little bit about employee compensation and salaries?
Right, so we brought our employee compensation package for the board to review today. We have approved, or we are hoping to approve steps and lanes, so the salary level increases and the continuing education advancements, as well as a 4.3% cost of living adjustment increase for all staff members. We also would like to do a behavior support stipend of up to $2,000 per eligible employee. So these would be employees that are working with students with significant behavior issues that they are maybe in danger or they're with them all day. So it will be prorated based off the amount of time the employee spends with that student during the school year. Additionally, we are wanting to increase our building level tech coach stipend from $750 to $1,500 for all schools, excluding Navajo Mountain. We would like to keep them at $750. With this increase, we will have additional accountability measures we'll put in place with specific expectations from the tech coaches on the information they're relaying back to the school sites, and also the expectation that they attend all trainings for the tech coaches. We are keeping our URS contributions, and then our insurance premiums did increase 8%, but the employee monthly portion for our bronze or copper plans will remain at $368 as the district continues to keep that employee insurance premium rate steady with prior years. No changes to our contract days. And then we also attached multiple salary schedules for you to review with these changes. Some things to point out: there were no changes to the admin or the licensed salary schedule. For the career classified salary schedule, we did add a new position on there. We don't have anyone in that position. It's something we're looking at creating a job for. It's a lead security advisor. This would be developing a position as a potential option for school safety roles in our schools that are not eligible for an SRO or the Guardian program right now. So that's something we're developing. We want it on the salary schedule if we were to move forward with that. The classified salary schedule is very similar. We added a safety monitor role there. This would be a lower level position that we could look at. The one for their career classified, we would be looking at someone with law enforcement experience, where for the classified, it would be almost more a hall monitor type position, less workload there. We don't have anyone in those roles, as I mentioned. We are just, as we're being creative with our school safety requirements, those are two positions we're looking at developing. Our substitute salary schedule, we did make some changes to that as well. We added a different rate for our special ed teacher substitutes and our special ed aide substitutes, a little higher. As those positions become increasingly difficult to fill with substitutes, we're trying to incentivize those a little bit. We also added a long-term sub-aide rate, where we haven't had one of those in the past, for a person who's subbing for an aide for 15 consecutive days, to try to keep them in that role where we need them instead of jumping around. So those are some changes we made to our salary schedule. We did not attach our activity salary schedule. That was just an oversight on our part. It is tied directly to our license salary schedule. We made some significant changes last year, no changes this year. It's just tied to our bachelor's step 1 with different rates. So if we can bring that back in the next month if you'd like. But there are no changes made to it.
All right.
I have a
Great
question.
explanation, but yeah, I'm open for questions. Anybody wanted to say anything or comments?
I have a question. So your student that will, how did you word that, behaviorally?
A behavior support stipend. So we would get input from the school level administrators on who some of those students might be. Also meet with our special ed team to help identify those students as well. And then staff members who are working with these students would be eligible for a stipend for the year.
Yeah, that was my question, is how do you identify them? Because I'm just wondering.
Do you want me to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah,
They're
sure.
gonna
So-
get a lot of asks to identify.
Yeah, so this isn't just a student with a BIP. This is, a behavior plan. It doesn't have to necessarily be a student with an IEP. We would do this by quarter, so we'd identify those students, so they would be recommended either by the special education director or by the school principal to the assistant superintendents, who would review each one and then determine if this meets that criteria. So we'd pay it out by quarter using a time and effort log, like we use other time and effort logs, because it would be based upon the student, what are the needs of the student for support, and then who is supporting the student that amount of time would get that portion up. So it's not just I'm the special education teacher with a severe endorsement and I get the whole stipend. It's not working that way. It's working by who is working with the student. And these are really the severe students who are sometimes violent, require specific training and holds, could be very disruptive. It's not a student that is maybe struggling with behavior and every once in a while. This is a student who's aggressively, being not only disruptive, but potentially violent, and needs additional support for that.
So would that be $2,000 throughout the course of the whole year?
The entire school year.
Up to, so it would be
Up to.
prorated based off the amount of time. So if
Okay.
they're with them for an hour a day, that would be prorated based off of a
Using
full
the
school day.
$2,000 for the whole
For the
year.
first full school year. And then the other part of that is, sometimes we have a student, that is experiencing this and has other things happening, in their world. And over time, we refer them to special ed, we put a plan in place, and that behavior, does become extinct or lessened. So that's why we also look at this by quarter, is you could have a student that, maybe the first half of the school year, we're paying the stipend, and by the middle of the year, we've got a great plan in place supporting this student, and then that stipend is no longer needed for that student because, we've been able to help develop the supports that are needed. So that's why we really looked at it by quarters. It allows us the flexibility to really meet the needs, also provide that additional support for our staff who are really dealing with these very, very, very difficult situations that we're all coming together to try to resolve.
So they can use it for their therapy sessions if they need to. I don't know. I almost want to compensate them for getting the person off of the behavior plan, but that doesn't work either. But I understand, and I'm grateful that we are making efforts to support our teachers, because sometimes there's not much we can do, but that is something that we can do to recognize they are.
And while we didn't add it
Deer
to this,
lift, yeah.
this package because wasn't something that was going to be using the ongoing, we did set aside money for employees who take specific behavior training courses and earn a
Okay.
certificate.
Yeah.
And that would be available to almost all staff members.
Yeah, so whether you're a bus driver, a paraprofessional, that just additional little one-time stipend for completing these series of additional, right now, the state mandates behavior training that all of our staff that are interacting with students are taking, but this would be in addition to that. This is a continuing need, as we see more escalated behaviors, really helping our staff be able to have the skills necessary to help students regulate at the earliest point. And this is different than MANT training, so we continue to do our MANT training that is also a behavior training, and the state also has mandated training, but this is in addition to, because as we do our needs assessment, we really see this as a significant need, and we know we've been, as we get staff feedback, this is, they are saying to us, I don't know what else to do, like this is, really difficult for me to be in these situations, with students, and, as we work with parents as well, we just need to better train and provide more opportunities to support and help overcome this challenge that we're having in our schools. And it's not just us, it's across the nation. The legislator passed, not last session, but the session before, because IDEA regulates what this looks like. And so I think the state was mindful of that, but then that didn't end up actually being any additional protections for teachers in that legislation. So, which is hard because you're looking at a federal IDEA, which should be in place for our students with a disability, but it's a little more complicated from our standpoint of supporting teachers.
Above and beyond what they're asked to support, and also retention.
Well, yeah, thank you, everyone that was involved in this, for being proactive about this, because, yeah, anything we can do to support our teachers, I support. Yeah.
Jacob's very open to a lot of our suggestions, so that has been very helpful.
Yeah.
As long as we can pay for it, right?
What did you want to say? Oh, okay.
Nope, my question got answered, thank you.
Colleen, did you have any?
Most of my questions were answered, so thank you, Laura. I just wondered about the lead security advisor and then the monitor as well. Will that help us to be in more compliant, like especially on the reservation and the non-SRO available schools?
That would be the purpose. As I said, we're developing those, but we're looking at the LSA as being someone with law enforcement experience that can help not only with safety, but maybe investigative type things. And that's why that's on our benefit, our career classified with the benefits and also a higher salary. And it's really in line with what local law enforcement is also making per hour, where the safety monitor, if that's not something we could get, could still help with hall monitor, controlling the crowds, still helping with activities after school, but there would be obviously less responsibility on that role. But this is our attempt to get created for school safety.
This is unrelated to this particular budget, but I know we approved a budget where we were going to compensate athletic directors better. Mm-hmm. We were adding a accountability piece to that. Are we still working on that, or is it getting?
We have rolled out an evaluation system, so we can bring that evaluation.
We had one for AD and also one for our head coaches as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can bring that next month if you'd like
I would
to see
love
it.
to see
Okay.
that. So thank you. Okay. We'll go ahead and move on to the school presentations, because I wasn't keeping track of the clock, I'm sorry. So go ahead and come up, Mr. Palmer.
Glad I get to go first before Ryan Nelson makes me look bad. Before we start, bear with me a little bit. I had a little bit of an emergency dental tooth extraction a few hours ago. The numbness is gone, but I still have some discomfort. So if I have to pause a little bit and take a drink, just hang in there with me. But all right. I guess we're ready to jump in. You want to start with celebrations?
You share as much as you want to.
Okay.
But
Be
yeah,
careful what you wish for.
Try not to go over, but yeah, mostly
right.
focus on the.
Okay, no promises.
Yeah.
Let's start with celebrations. I'm really, really excited about a few things. Well, a lot of things, but a few that we've highlighted here. We've seen some pretty incredible growth in our CTSO programs and the amount of students involved. Just from the sheer percentage of students that we have involved, and we have such a high number of our students that are just involved in those programs. They still are relatively kind of new in the long look of things. Most of those are 3 to 4 years old, and at this point we have well over half of our students that are participating in some CTSO, and it's pretty incredible. This year we had 12 students qualify for FBLA Nationals in San Antonio. The most we've had prior to that was 3. At the state competition this year, out of 33 schools, our school placed 3rd overall behind 2 6A schools. And we were really, really excited about that and how well our students represented. We had 32 students that placed in some level or another in those competitions. We had 3 students go to the State Skills USA competition this year. All 3 were state champions this year. And they'll be representing us at Nationals and Skills USA. We had a Skills USA national champion over the summer. I haven't had a chance to report on that yet, so every time I get a chance to do that, I like to brag on that. To have our students represent us at the national level is pretty awesome. We have a large number of students involved in our FFA competitions. Now, we are the only standalone junior high FFA chapter in Utah, which means our FFA students are competing against high schoolers. Makes it a little more challenging for them to qualify for those competitions, but I love to see our students coming in 3rd place behind schools like American Fork and Beaver and some really big welding competitions and things like that, and to see these middle school kids hanging in there with the high schoolers is really, really fun. So that level of involvement from those has been awesome. We have some great student involvement in our extracurricular activities with sports, drama, heritage language, band, choir. I think just in our fall sports alone, we had over 50% of our students involved in some event. And we love that because the more involved they are, the more excited they are to come to school, the better things go. We have had some great participation in our heritage language program, particularly I can't say enough good about Mrs. Cody and the program that she runs. I was actually, this is on a side note, but I was speaking with her recently. We were at the pageant, and I was just so incredibly impressed with our students. And we had a conversation afterwards, and I know Ryan feels the same way that I do, that there is a very direct correlation with the students who are heavily involved in our heritage language programs, at pageants, and academic success. There's a very strong tie, and we love to see the students that are so involved and turn around and do so well everywhere else. And I truly, I don't have evidence other than anecdotal, but I know that those students that are really involved in that program, they are successful elsewhere. Another big celebration, we're excited to see some construction underway. It's going to be awesome. All right, we got some more celebrations. Those are the cool things, some data for our academics. If we can go down to the next one. We're excited, and we've been focusing on growth for our students with disability. We're excited to see some growth in those demographics. It's small, but it's been sustainable over a period of time. And even a 2 to 3% growth over a year is pretty significant. And to see in some areas 4 to 5 percentage point growth over time is really awesome for us. We've seen some good core class pass rates, students on track. We're excited to see that. This year, our emphasis has continued to be supporting students with disabilities, as that's our CSI designation. I'm hopeful that this translates. Our benchmark data indicates from beginning of year to end of year that in language arts we've seen about a 6.2% increase. Math is very, very similar. So to see that growth throughout the year has been great with those students. We took the data from the beginning of year and measured throughout the year, and then look at the same standards at the end of the year to see how much growth and progress they made during that time, and to see that proficiency growth was awesome. Like I said, I hope it translates to the end of year assessments. Sometimes that's out of our control, and we hope that's the case, but our preliminary results, our preliminary data suggests some pretty good growth there, as we've emphasized that with our students. All right, we can move on. You had a chance to look at that. There are some things to celebrate. There's also some things to take back to the drawing board with our data, as there always is. So we continue to look at room for improvement. There's some things that we're really exciting about our end of year data. There's some things that we recognize that we've got to go back, like I said, go back to the drawing board, and we really emphasize this year really getting back to really highly effective Tier 1 instruction. Really focusing on teacher clarity, really focusing on reading strategies. One of the best sayings that I heard as we've been kind of going through our process of improvement is that you can't intervene your way out of poor Tier 1 instruction. Not that we've had poor Tier 1 instruction, but that doesn't mean there's not room for growth. So improving that Tier 1 instruction and not making knee-jerk reactions about interventions and coming after the fact, let's improve that baseline across the board. So we've gone back to that, and we'll continue to emphasize that. As it shows in continuing slides, there's a real big emphasis on teacher clarity, on reading goals. So the goals that we've had for the year is seeing some increase for all of our students, and then specifically for our students with disabilities and our ELL students. We're not currently in turnaround or CSI or we don't have any designations for our ELL students, but we want to make sure it stays that way. So we've continued to emphasize the needs of those students, and then really looking at the MGP, the growth percentile for our students, and making sure that we're really emphasizing and setting some goals for their growth. So I've talked about this, but this is a little bit more of a breakdown at the bottom part of our benchmark data that shows our preliminary data to show the growth that we've seen in language arts and math by grade level. I said we've really focused a lot on teacher clarity and engagement strategies. Now with engagement strategies, that looks a little bit different. What we've done there is Mrs. Turk really spent a lot of time this year auditing each of our IEP plans for each of our students, and really breaking those down and looking at, because of this student's designation, what individual challenges or unique barriers do they have in their learning, and what strategies can our teachers really use to either leverage their strengths or support their weaknesses. So it's not just accommodations and making adjustments to how many assignments they do on a math test. It's, this student has this disability, and that because of that it shows that this is a weakness or this is a strength. Here's a strategy to leverage that. And so really helping teachers be aware and support student growth in that way. Some challenges. Attendance continues to be a challenge. We had a pretty good jump for a few years back. And there's just we've kind of seen a little bit of a decline in the last few years. After COVID, we had a good jump, and yeah, so it's kind of declined. Now, we look at that in a few different ways. There's one of kind of two categories sometimes the students fall in. We do have a lot of students that travel far to go support family members and participate in really important things. Our halls were kind of quiet last week when we had high school softball, baseball, cross-country teams competing at the state level. And we love that. We love to see students go and support their families. We have students very involved in powwow circuits and things like that, and that's very, very important. We want to encourage them to do that, but finding that balance between being out of the building and still working together with the families to make sure that they're staying caught up. The other camp, sometimes we have students who are well below grade level with chronic absenteeism, and it's getting to the root of why are they not here? What can we do to support them in their needs, and how can we really get to the bottom of that? And I've met with a lot of students this year to try to help make some plans and really just hear what they're going through, hear what school is like for them, hear what their home life is like, what challenges they have, sometimes just in the support from home, just even getting on the bus or just getting in the car to get to school, and really working through those on an individual basis. We're continuing to work through building better systems to meet the wide range of our students. Particularly, with our students with disabilities, and making sure that we are meeting them at their level, and not just kind of setting a bar without really a good plan and an equitable plan for each of them to be able to get there. And we're working through I know that the high school is working through this as well. Our reading assessments are showing that we have a large number of students still reading below grade level. Our sixth grade group entered our school. Our initial assessment showed 70% still reading below grade level. So working through supporting those needs is pretty difficult to be successful in any content when that's the case. So we've worked through a lot of strategies to help support that. We have had very, very little turnover with our teaching staff, with a lot of our paraeducators. We've been really, really fortunate to have some amazing individuals there. But we've had some difficulty at times with some of our other staff, especially recently. That's kind of made things a little challenging. I've got to put my hairnet on and spend a good amount of time in the kitchen in the last few weeks and months as we've kind of been short-staffed there. And I love being in there, and I love hanging out with the ladies in there, and I love serving the students, but it does mean that I have to come back to the office and stay there till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night just to make sure I'm getting all of my things done too. So maintaining and supporting that group has been a challenge, but one that we're up for. But as I was preparing this, I had just come out of the kitchen and taken the hairnet off, so it was kind of a little more fresh on my mind. But anyway, that's where we're at right now, and would welcome any questions.
I like that you didn't note the construction as a challenge yet.
It will be, but we're just celebrating right now.
I know.
It's finally started.
Yeah. Okay, any comments or questions?
Thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you.
It ain't easy being in the position you are in. And we appreciate all you do for the teachers, the staff, and our kids. Thank you, and for supporting the Heritage Language the program there at the school.
Thank you.
And I know the Heritage Language program instills culture and language, and there's discipline in that. And then they have to hold a GPA of a certain point to get them going and try to do their best. So, and to represent themselves in a good way. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know some of your sixth graders came from some critical COVID years where they probably are still trying to adjust.
And that's okay. We've made some really great strides. We've seen some great things happen this year.
But yeah, I can see that having been a critical time, and anything we can do to support our students. Thank you for all that the teachers are doing and helping them reach those places where they should be.
Great. I'm just trying to picture you with the hairnet.
It looks good. Come in anytime. I'm in there quite often. The apron is like the added touch too.
I can see Ryan Nelson back there going, I want to have that experience.
You usually have a nice little line after I take the hairnet off.
Yeah.
It looks good. Yeah.
Well, again, thank you for all that you do. Colleen, did you have anything you wanted to share? I don't know if we still have her.
Always tons and tons of questions for you, Mr. Palmer.
Bring it on. Let's go.
No, I appreciate all that you're doing. I didn't see that we have a job notice for KitchenAid relief or anything like that, so that may be something we need to definitely talk about, or at least put on there so that we can have that help. So just an idea there.
I appreciate that. We've been working through with Anna Fredericks pretty closely on a plan for that, and we have filled one available position. We're waiting until summer for a kitchen manager position to post that. So there's a plan there. It just takes time to fill all that.
Right, and I knew that was probably something that was already happened, so I just wanted to also give my support to that as well.
Thank you.
Definitely, maybe Principal Nelson would love to come to the ARL and fill in with the hairnet as well. I mean, that's always a possibility. Not to put him on the spot there.
He just said, heck yeah, he's ready.
There you go. I knew he had some experience in that as well, so.
I made some mean French fries the other day, for sure.
And if not, perfect. And if not, Mr. Nelson, we'll just throw Dr. Begay in there.
Oh, there we go. We got to utilize all of our staff as much as we can, so Dr. Begay, whenever you're ready.
All right, well, thank you.
I did have another comment. I know the sixth graders, like board member, Nan, we'll go with Nan informally, she brought that up, that our students are coming from the COVID years. So I had a question as to, do you guys have, can you share what some ideas are that could be helpful to the students? And also, maybe something online for the summer that could be helpful for them as well? Is that something that could also be beneficial to them?
That's definitely something we can look at. The thing that we found to be most helpful this year, we've really made an emphasis on close reading practices, really across the school, because we felt like it would benefit everybody. And when I say close reading practices, it looks a little different in math, language arts, and science, but each of our teachers and each of our contents, including our art classes, our band classes, taking content specific to their curriculum and teaching students strategies to help them work through each of those, whether it be an article, whether it's like a story problem, to make sure they gain a better understanding of really what's being asked of them, and are gaining a better understanding of what they're reading, and really kind of working on their metacognition is really what we've emphasized. I loved it. I knew it was working really well. I mean, they don't always love it, but I knew it was working really well when I went into a math class a while back, and the teacher said, all right, we're going to pull out, they had a story problem, like, all right, we're going to pull out our close reading poster so we can all work through this together. And I heard this grumble, oh, I've been doing this everywhere. I even did this in my band class. And I thought, heck yes, that's a win for me, because that means that it's being done everywhere. And in every class, the teachers are all emphasizing reading strategies and reading practices. As far as things at home in the summer, there's lots that we could do online. There's lots that we could probably send out. But what I will be encouraging everyone to do is read. There's very little we can do that will just replace picking up an old-fashioned paper book, spend half an hour every single day, and just read. It'll be better than any online program, platform, anything else they do. Find something they love and read about it. And that's what we will be challenging people to do over the summer for sure. Thank you for that suggestion.
Thank you, and thank you for highlighting that. It's good to see real examples of practices like that going on in the schools. So thanks for sharing that. And I think we'll.
Did Ron have something?
I was just going to say, your celebrations are awesome. Please make sure your staff knows that's fantastic. We appreciate what they do. I know that's got to be a team effort right there to have that much accomplished.
It's been a lot of fun.
A great team has a great leader, so thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to go.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ryan, you only have 5 minutes now. I'm just trying. That's what he's saying. He's excited. No.
Hey, good to be here. Lot to celebrate at my school. I'm so proud of my teachers, my staff. They come every day and work their tails off for their students, no matter what they're doing. The challenges, or the construction is a celebration and challenge. It was a rough year, to be honest, with all the construction going on, but we got through it. We're very patient. My art teacher, Nikki Seifert, probably is the MVP of it all. She's the one that saw the most of it happening, and so. But we're very, very excited about the new office. Cannot wait to move in there. It's beautiful. Hopefully you get a chance to come and look at it. So much to celebrate this year. We'll go away from academics because we feel like extracurricular is just important as what we do there at San Juan High. I'm now part of the executive committee at the UHSAA, and I've been able to hand out 4 trophies this year, 1 first place and 3 seconds. Softball and baseball were both runner-up. Football are 5-time state champs, and cross country in the fall. And our boys track team has a great opportunity to take state. They took region last week in Cedar City. We got so many clubs, so many things happening. Our girls soccer team boys soccer team won more games than they had ever won before. So that's a big celebration. They're moving in the right direction. Our basketball teams both qualified for state. We just have a great senior group of kids too. It helps to have great kids that way that are dedicated. Not only are they great athletes, but they're great students. We've had one student even sign with Utah State to play football after his mission. Just a super talent. I think he jumps a 6'9" in the high jump, so if you get a chance to watch it online, kid's an incredible athlete and a great kid. We just had him for the summa cum laude dinner yesterday. That's a 4.0 student. It's just fun to see those kinds of things. Other celebrations, we stress get involved, become a Bronco and get involved. So we want every kid, every student involved in something, whether it's a club. And since we preach that, next year we are going to offer any student that is participating in a sport in a club that they'll get a free student activity pass, so that we get more kids involved in coming into our activities that cost money. So we told them, if you get involved in something, you can get a student activity. And hopefully we see them all there in the gym or out on the football field, whatever we charge money for admission. I forget, there's so much we do that you can see some of the pictures. The Unity Club, I reiterate what Ryan had said about Valina and our Unity Club and Heritage Language. They celebrate that. The month of November, come to San Juan High. The Unity Club has something planned every day of the school week. And they have dress-ups, and we have traditional foods. And it's been an awesome experience to see us integrate and bring it all together. We celebrate our Native Americans, Spanish people, and the Unity Club sets the whole month together, and it's aligned with our pageant. And they do an amazing job with that as well. And so November is always a great month. I love November because it's an opportunity to learn and get some feedback and I love when my students are dressed in their native clothing. It's amazing. They look all beautiful, and they're just proud to wear it, and that makes me very proud as well. Man, it's been a long year. A lot of celebrations. Again, I didn't wear my glasses. FBLA, we had 7 national qualifiers in there, CTSOs, and it's just where they start at ARL. They just keep it going when they come to San Juan High, and we love that connection that we have with ARL, and they know what's expected, and they're joining clubs and part of FFA, FBLA. We had 3 history qualified for nationals. Skills had 2. That's kind of outdated now that softball and baseball's over. The scholarships that we give out. Next Monday is our awards assembly, where we honor every student that's received a scholarship. And you can see we had 4 get the Chief Manuelito scholarship. Just tons of money we give away on Monday at 1:15 at our awards assembly. It's a great celebration for these seniors and what they've done for the past 4 years. And then our Sterling Scholar, I think we had about not a lot of first place, but a lot of runner-ups. Mrs. Wingett's been great with that. She's leaving us this year. She's the only staffer that we lose. I hate losing her, but we have her a little bit. We're going to still have her teach concurrent enrollment, and we're starting a Sterling Scholar class that she'll teach just 2nd and 3rd quarters to get these kids ready for it. We want to really push our Sterling Scholars, and we like to take first, so we don't want to be runner-ups anymore. We want to take first, and we'll do ways to celebrate them as well with our new areas that we have in our front office that we can highlight those students that I think we have every position filled next year ready to roll for 14 different divisions, and they'll be working with Shanda Wingett as well. But I have a great staff. I think I taught probably most of my staff. That's probably why we don't lose a lot of them. And that's how long it's been since I've been in this business. It's very rewarding, and I'm very lucky to be where I am at today. And again, my teachers are amazing. Other celebrations that may not have been highlighted on there, our PLC work has done so much better. What we did, we took our school leadership team and we planned our PLCs through every month, and we set the agenda. They follow, and we just do a following agenda for all our PLC work, what we're talking about, what we're highlighting, what we're focusing on. Engagement strategies has been our big one. We always focus on reading. If you go to our ACT score, I think our reading average this year went 19.2. Huge celebration. I don't have all the data. I don't want to give it all away because I think I present in August. So our end of year testing will present that in August, but I do have our ACT stuff on there. We averaged over an 18, which is our goal in our school land trust. And you can see our highest thing was reading. And emphasized reading since I've been principal. Every teacher does some type of reading in the classroom, and it just, like Ryan said, if they can't read, they can't be successful. Challenges, there's a lot, motivation, attendance. What I mean by motivation, where we get a lot of kids that just aren't motivated to be in class and do what they need to do. So we spent our behavior team that meets every Tuesday at 10 is a big key factor where we identify those students that we need to meet and connect with and make calls and set up meetings. And that behavior team is with myself and Coach C, or my vice principal, both social workers from ARL and SJH. We get ARL's, she's a female, Janera, comes once a week so she can build connections there. And Landon, my social worker, goes to ARL on Wednesdays so he can build connections with kids as they come into high school. Because that transition from middle school to high school can be very difficult for kids. So that we want, they know that person. And then even our school resource officer, Cole, spends time up there and building connections with kids too that have been big. I mean, behavior-wise, we've had a great year. That's a celebration, and I honestly believe it's because of my school resource officer. He makes a difference. He connects with kids, and now I think this is our third year in it. We've kind of figured out the best way to utilize him and when not to utilize him. But it's been a fantastic year for that, for our students, and it's been a great year, and we hope to the last 8 days we can get through it, because it can get crazy this time of year. We are in ATSI with students with disabilities. Some things that we did, we had 4 PDs with our paras. Katie Lynn Lyman, she would always come with me. We do a Friday afternoon and do some training. We've started active monitoring our students with disabilities, and if you've ever seen that sheet, it has every student with a disability, what their goals are, what the para is working with them. This is something that the para works with the student. They take notes, and then it's collected by PLCs and also our SPED teachers, so that we're really focusing in on our SPED and kids that we're giving them the right accommodations and that they're getting better. So this year we did a couple different things with our end of year testing. We did our ACT boot camp, Mastery Prep, did it. And Mr. Fitzgerald actually with his grant was able to, Jeff was paid for that, and I highly recommend it for every high school principal in our district. It's something that made a big difference. And what they did was teaching strategies, how to take the ACT. So what we learned from that, we did a Aspire Plus boot camp for our freshmen and sophomores. And we're hoping to see some difference in our end of year testing scores. Some of the raw stuff, we had one teacher in reading and language arts, 50% were proficient. So we're still trying to get that raw data in there. But we have seen increases in both math and language arts. But we've spent so much time on, the big challenge I'm finding is our math scores and how we can get better at math. So we're going to really look into that and just do our best. But I think these boot camps really teach these kids how to take a test and things we don't really teach out there that get them ready for taking those big exams that they have to take. Again, our ultimate goal is to get every student at or above grade level, no matter what it is. If it's science, math, language arts, that's our ultimate goal, and that's what we all want our students to be the best they can be. And we're working hard, and our teachers are really working hard, but I'm really proud of our PLC work that's getting better. Is it perfect? No, but we're getting better at our Tuesday morning meetings, and we come there ready to go because we have an agenda set, and it's real work being done. And I'm not as long-winded as Ryan Palmer, so any questions? I know I missed a lot of stuff, and Ryan's not here, so I can say that. Or did you? Oh, no, I thought you were left. No. But that connection with what the relationship with Ryan and Steph and our admin, we really do a lot of talking together and bounce ideas off each other. So I appreciate ARR, because ARL students coming up are doing better. They're doing a lot more with that, and that's because of their leadership at the middle school.
Well, thank you. How, I just have a random question. How do you feel you've been able to be a leader to other principals, and how do you feel you've gained, input from other principals and leaders in the district?
Oh, I think it's a great point, because we have some great leadership in our district. I mean, we had the chance to do the Courageous Principals with our secondary principals and spending that weekend with them and the knowledge they have. I hate losing Kim. She's been a great asset for me when anytime I need a question. I know Kim will know it. And Ryan as well, and Casey, fantastic people that great teams. And Terry's doing a great job. I didn't really know Terry at MV, but over that weekend I really got to sit down and visit with her. And none of us are afraid to call any one of us, hey, what do you do here? Or what do you think about this? And it's something that's huge, I think, that we can really sit down and come out and solve some problems together as leaders.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I just say thank you for what you do, Ryan. Get a lot done down there, and we appreciate it. Lots of good things happening in the San Juan High this year, and I've watched many of them.
All right. We love it. Thank you.
I second that.
All right.
And did you give your daughter a big hug? Your stepdaughter? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a weird day.
I know.
Just didn't
They
feel
did
the same.
so well, but it was, yeah.
But I'm glad that we were able to get those girls an opportunity to play at a college facility, and
Yeah.
hopefully we can get a little bit more, because
Yeah.
those Friday games would have been great at BYU as well. But I had a huge problem. I had two games going on at the same time, a championship game.
Oh, I know.
My softball team was playing and my baseball.
Yes.
I'm running back and forth, and they were, hey, are you coming to give out the trophies? That's such a great thing. I know Ron's going to be a part of the BOT.
Yeah.
It's been a great experience. Casey and I both serve on that and learned a lot from it, and I'm honored to be a part of that committee.
I'm grateful for that as well, having been one of those parents, and you've been there too, where we show up and we're like, why is 2A at this time of day, having had to travel this far? It's a 2-day event, and now we get to pay for a motel room 2 nights.
Yep.
Yeah, so anything we can do to have support with that, I'm super grateful for, so. And yeah, thanks for supporting our students.
I love
I
them.
think being able to know that we not only care about them doing well in their classes so that they can qualify for going to the game, but that we actually care about them, and that's why we're rooting for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I got the best kids at my
Yeah.
school. All right, is that it?
I think that's it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
Actually, guys, I have a question or
Almost
a
got
comment.
it.
Good job.
Sorry, it came up in your presentation. I didn't have anything before, but my comment and question was, I would look into, because Whitehorse had such a success rate in family engagement where they awarded a student a free pass into an activity if they improve their reading scores. That would just be something I would look into. And I would just really emphasize on this because San Juan being the highest or the largest school in our district, and also the largest high school, I should say, in our district, I would really think that the rest of the schools would look to San Juan for that type of leadership. So I want to improve the scores as much as we can there. So, I mean, something as simple as that, I mean, that would be definitely a great thing to be able to offer to students. So I'm just brainstorming here, but if that's something that we could do and that's something we can offer to improve our reading scores, I mean, I think that would be a great suggestion to them.
That is a great idea. I will definitely take that back to my leadership and school community council. I think that's fantastic. Thank you for that.
No problem. And darn it, next time I'll try to, hopefully we cover everything in August.
That's right, because it could be my last year, so that'll be number 30.
I guess if that's the case, then we're going to cover a lot then.
Yes, we are. You better be ready to go rock and roll in August, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
Okay. I think we're on to the preliminary fiscal year 2027 budget, and we'll turn the time over to Jacob and Dr. Fitzgerald.
All right, so it's that time of year, it's hard to believe, but each May we present to the board a preliminary budget for review and preparation for our June board meeting and budget hearing, which will occur on June 16th. This is a state requirement to prepare a tentative budget as well as documentation and provide it to the board before June 1st. So we're meeting that today with this discussion item. The school board is required to adopt a budget and appropriations for the next fiscal year by June 30th. So just a reminder, when we have our June meeting, we will be adopting a budget at that time. I really want to assure the board that we have an amazing business office with Jacob Swanson and Jennifer Johnson and their team working together to prepare this budget. Jacob and I have met and have reviewed the budget in detail, and I just want to express my appreciation to all of those who've been involved in this process and making it such a great process and sharing this information with already our district directors. And of course, other groups that we have met with since then, but excited for him to share this budget with you and appreciate all that they do. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jacob to take it from there.
Of course, I just wanted to echo what Superintendent said as well. Just there's a lot of people that put a lot of manpower into getting this done. So I just want to thank my office, Jennifer Johnson, Jonathan English, Melinda Grover, and the many others that put countless hours into making this possible for this year. So one thing that Superintendent noted as well, but I just want to note that this is a preliminary budget. Some of the information that we need for the final budget we won't receive until possibly as late as the first couple of weeks of June. And so I'll touch on some of those items later that will need to be updated in the June budget hearing. But just going through the budget book here, first I wanted to go to page 5. But as you all are turning, I just wanted to also say, this is a lot, so at any point in time, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me and say, hey, let's talk about this real quick. But starting on page 5, this is just a letter that we kind of start out with. So just looking at the paragraph that starts, the following variables were used for budget development. I wanted to go over some of these numbers real quick here. So first, as we will see later on, this budget assumes average daily membership of 2,714 students, which is down about from 2,740 last year, so down 14, or excuse me, down, my math here, 26 from last year. Going on from that, the second number, that will be one of the numbers that needs to be updated after receiving more of our tax information from the county. So that number, the 1.115 million in taxable value will be updated for the June board meeting. Moving on from that, the weighted pupil unit for fiscal year 27 is 4,870 per WPU. This amount is set by the state based upon its statutory inflation formula, and it is up from 4,674 for the current fiscal year that we're currently on. The next thing, the budget assumes a cost of living increase of 4.3%. This was made possible, I just wanted to touch on this. This was made possible by the board's reallocation of impact aid funds into the general fund, which happened in January of this year during our impact aid hearing. If we did not have this reallocation, we would not have been able to keep our cost of living increases competitive with the inflationary rate, which for this year for the WPU was at 4.2%. This budget also assumes step and lane advancements, health insurance premiums remaining the same for our employees, while increasing 8% for the school district. And finally, the budget assumes that staffing is maintained at the board-approved statutory ratio. So moving on, let's go to page 7. This is just our organizational chart. There hasn't been any changes to that, but just wanted to point that out again to you all. But then looking at page 8, pages 8 through 23, we'll be able to see a historical demographic breakdown of our students, average daily membership specifically, and it also includes a breakdown at the individual schools. One thing that I just want to note that we've noted in past school board meetings, and it's just really important to keep reiterating, is that average daily membership is continuing to decline, and this isn't something that we're just seeing in our school district. It's a trend throughout the state. But it is important to note, I think, as well, that the decline did slow this year. Again, it went from 2740 to 2714, and in the prior year, it dropped. I think you can see that on page 9. In the prior year, it dropped from 2833 to 2740. So a little bit slowed there, but we've also talked about in past board meetings the upcoming trends in enrollment, which are not the same as average daily membership, but they're very correlated, that the trend is that we're going to keep going down for at least the next few years. Another thing to keep in mind, again, average daily membership is a different number than enrollment. And I think one of the biggest places that you'll see this,
Attendance, I think.
or excuse me, then attendance. And you can see this on page 8. One of the things to note there is our kindergarten numbers. The most affected by this is BES. A half-day kindergarten student only counts as 0.055 in the average daily membership, and for the WPU. And so that is one number on here that you could potentially see in that BES, because that's our school that we have the most half-day enrolled kindergarten students. That number could increase anywhere from 10 to 20 next year, assuming that enrollment stays exactly the same from year to year. Moving on. Just one thing to note with all these numbers, this is one reason why the inflationary rate for the WPU that's set by the state does not necessarily equal the amount of funding that we receive. Even though the amount of the WPU, the dollar amount, might increase, that doesn't mean that our ADM is going to stay the same year to year. So there are a number of variables that go into this, but this is one reason why I think it's important to reiterate that our inflationary rate does not necessarily mean the same increase in the funding that we receive from the state or from the federal government, and especially from the local revenue. I just wanted to point out some of the largest shifts in individual schools for average daily membership as well. So going to page 14, first looking at Monticello, I kind of wanted to start out with the positives here. Monticello Elementary, we saw an increase of 22 students at Monticello Elementary from last year to this current year, 261 to 283. Then on page 17, which is Monticello High School, we saw an increase from 203 to 234, which is 31 student increase, or excuse me, 31 ADM increase. Page 18 at Monument Valley High School, we saw an increase of 10 in our ADM from last year to this year. And then on the flip side of all of this, though, we also see a lot of drops throughout the school district. Page 11, we can see Bluff. And this is one to look at the historic drop as well. But in Bluff, from last year to this year, we saw a decrease of 12 from 74 to 66. On page 12, at LaSalle, this is one that we really should look at the historical as well. Looking from fiscal year 2022, where we had 12 and our average daily membership, we're down to 4 in fiscal year 2026, which, is only 8 students, but when we're only dealing with 12 students to start out with, that is a significant decrease. Page 16, Albert R. Lyman, dropped from 2025 to 2026, it dropped 331 to 304. Page 19, sorry, I'm flipping through here pretty quickly. If I need to slow down, just let me know. Page 19, San Juan High School, average daily membership dropped from 422 to 398. And then finally, page 21, Navajo Mountain, which is another one of our small schools. It dropped from 22 last year to 14. Which is a significant decrease from year to year. So that is some of our historical information for student demographics and average daily membership. Are there any questions on any of those so far? All right. So next, I just wanted to skip over to page 26. Pages 26 through 42, this is the breakdown of the allocations to the schools. So I just wanted to point out that there are no formulaic changes from last fiscal year. So the numbers are a little bit different, but that just is based on average daily membership. But there were no formulaic changes to those numbers. One thing I did want to note, because it was on last year's budget book, but it is not on this year's. If you recall, last year the state granted a one-time allocation of funds to each of the schools in response to legislation that was passed regarding school fees, and this was passed and the funds were given to offset the cost that was associated with that legislation. That one-time allocation was supposed to be distributed to the schools in 3 yearly payments, with the first year, which was this current fiscal year, at 50% of the total, then 30%, and then 20%. This year, we were informed by the state that we will not be receiving the distributions for fiscal year 27 and 28. So that if you were to compare last year's budget book to this year's, that is why you will not be seeing that school allocation on there. We will not receive that funding for fiscal year 27 and 28. All right, so any questions on anything with that so far?
Sorry, Jacob, and
Yeah.
remind me, was that legislation that was changed on that for 2027?
So it was part of the legislation with the overall budget that was adopted by the state. They contacted us pretty early on, I want to say in January, saying that there was a possibility that they were going to scale back all of the funding, including current fiscal year that was already allocated. When it got to the session, when they got later into the session, they changed that to where they said, we're going to let you keep the allocation that was already distributed for fiscal year 26, but they still said that they're taking away the funding that they would have allocated for fiscal year 27 and 28 for those school fees.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, of course. All right, now let's jump to page 43. This is just the Utah statutes that govern the budget procedures. There weren't any significant changes here. The one change that did happen was a change to a statutory reference, and that is in 53G-7-303, subsection 3A. So the only difference there is that it references a different section than it used to. But other than that, all of these are the same. I was an attorney in a past life, and I love legal jargon, but I understand that it can put some people to sleep. So if there are ever any questions about anything written there, please feel free to contact me, and I can talk about some of these all day long. So, but then let's skip over to page 47. Pages 47 to 56, we're going to see the revenue sources, and we're going to have those broken down. But first, looking at page 48. Let's go to page 48 here. On this page, we see the estimated local property taxes assessed valuation per student. So this is the amount of money that we receive from our property taxes locally per student. If you recall, I know it's been a year, but if you recall in fiscal year 2026, we were the lowest in our assessed valuation per student. We jumped one spot up ahead of South San Pete this year in our assessed valuation per student, just behind just ahead of South San Pete. Going on to page 49, and I had a conversation with Superintendent Fitzgerald about this as well. You know, one thing to note is that with our schools that are on tribal lands, those schools don't receive any taxation, but our number of students is still the same, and so that's one reason why you see us so low on there, is because inevitably we're going to be having a little bit less property tax received, and so that translates to less property tax assessed per student as well. Going on to page 49 here, we see the property tax rate per district for tax year 25. Last year, we had the 9th highest rate. This year, we were at 13th. And that is based in large part upon the assessed value. One thing that might be a misunderstanding or misconception is that the way that we set, at least locally at the school board level, the way that we set our tax rates is based upon what's called the certified rate. That certified rate is established based upon the amount of revenue that we received last year, plus any additional growth. So if the assessed valuation goes up, that correlates with a decrease in the property tax rate that we pass off at the school district level.
So did we have a decrease in here?
We did have we had an increase in property tax value, or in property assessed value, and we don't have all those numbers. We won't receive those for another few weeks. But our assessed value, at least from 24 to 25 tax year, did go up, which resulted in a lower tax rate. And so that's why we moved from the 9th highest to now the 9th highest tax rate to now the 13th highest tax rate. All right, and then moving on.
I have a question about that. Our assumption is that the assessed value did increase because of the limited growth we do have in San Juan, but won't know that.
Right.
So that's just.
Right, and new growth
assuming.
wouldn't play into a correlation with a decrease in property taxes. The only thing that would is a higher assessed value. As the assessed value goes up, our school board passed tax rates go down. Unless we do truth in taxation. All right, moving on to the next page there. You will see the total tax collected per student. This is another one where last year we were the lowest. This year we moved up one place. So now we are the second lowest in total tax collected per student. So that's just something worth noting as well. Moving on to the next pages, 51 through 56. These numbers are exactly the same as they were last year. This is information that we still haven't received from the county, and we probably won't until sometime in June. So these numbers will be changed for our June budget. This just goes over assessed value by property type, as well as what some of the highest centrally assessed properties are and the highest industries are. And so I will update you on this one during the June board meeting when we have this information. So skipping ahead to page 57, I'll stop there first, though. Are there any questions so far? Okay, seeing none, I'll move on then. Page 57, you'll see the revised and proposed budgets by fund category. I think the biggest thing to note with the revised 2026, 58. I think it's 58 on here too, but let me double check. Yep, okay. So yeah, page 58. You'll notice, looking at our revised budget 2026, you'll see that, where am I here? Our expenditures outpaced our revenues in fiscal year 26 by about 1 million. If you recall back to our board meeting in October, we discussed we discussed the district's unassigned general fund balance. This is the funds that are in the general balance that aren't assigned to any particular activity or any particular expenditure. The state has recommendations. Its recommendation is 25% of our previous fiscal year's expenditure. We kind of set an alternative, I guess, benchmark at around 30 to 35% that superintendent and I presented to the board. But even with that percentage, there are still funds that need to be spent down to get to that percentage. And so this is, if you recall, in that October board meeting, we determined that there was an excess. So at our recommendation, the board approved a one-time 2% payout to all of our employees. And this payment totaled a little over 1 million. Between this and the additional funding that we supplemented with our ESPS stipend, it was about 1.1 million, which if you look here would explain why there was a deficit between our revenue and expenditure in the revised budget for fiscal year 26. This is one thing that we plan to do another review of. We want to do another review of our unassigned general fund balance sometime after the start of the school year to see if there's any more that we need to spend down. And so it's likely that we see another fiscal year next year where expenditures are going to outpace our revenues, but that is intentional. I just wanted to point that out here.
And I can just add from our October meeting, the state recommended that 25%, but our recommendation was 30 to 35% just because of impact aid and the, viability of impact aid long-term. It adds additional protection for our district versus other
Right.
districts who aren't so heavily reliant on impact aid, so.
But I did pull up the numbers from that board meeting as well. This is looking at the 25% target, but if we were to reach, and this is looking again at our fund balance as it was back in October, but to reach to reach the 25% target, there was about 7 million that still could be spent down. So,
Which is significant.
yeah. All
Jacob?
right. Yeah, of course.
Sorry, to remind me again, are we looking for 2026 for that to be another one-time payment to employees, or is that something we can move to like capital expenditures or anything like that, or remind me how that would work?
Yeah, so 2026, we already did the spend out. It was approved by the board to do a 2%,
Right.
don't want to call it a bonus, it's more of a stipend, but a 2% payout back in November.
Okay.
So this coming school year, we're going to look at that unassigned balance again to see what it's at. Because again, we don't want to have that too high. When an auditors come and they see that number is too high, they're assuming that there's some hoarding going on, and it's considered to be not wise spending of taxpayer dollars. And so we'll look at that, what the unassigned balance is again during the school year when we have more of that information. But it is likely that we still have some spending down to do to get to an appropriate amount for our unassigned fund balance. And again, this unassigned fund balance is just the number of dollars that aren't currently assigned to a specific expenditure. They aren't put in any of the budgets. It's just money that is sitting in the general fund.
Right, so could we, because we're looking at a safety monitor and essentially a hall monitor, would that be something that we can shift that into as to take away from that unspent balance?
Sure, and that's something that we can look at. I will say, so at the way it is currently, our SRO is paid out of school-based budgets for
Right.
ARL and San Juan High. And so we anticipate that that will also be the case for whatever schools do want to have that safety monitor or that I can't remember what we called it for the career classified
Right.
schedule, but a similar position. So I assume that those will also be paid out of school-based budgets, so.
And oftentimes with one-time money, we are not looking at funding salary because it's a
Right.
one-time funding.
Ah.
So that's a consideration as well for the board.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's usually generally not the best practice when we're trying to spend down funds that aren't ongoing. They're just funds that are currently existing to put those into any kind of permanent based budget, if that makes sense.
And so that could be another stipend for the next school year, correct?
Potentially, yeah, then that's something that we can review with the board. There's also not a shortage of capital projects that it could be spent towards, but absolutely, that's something that we want to explore with the board and with our board capital committee to determine what the best use of those funds would be.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Of course. All right, moving on to page 60 then. This is the general fund schedule from the federal revenue. Actually, let's go back to 59 real quick. So the first one on here is just an estimate for the local funds. Again, this is based on tax information that we haven't yet received. And so most of those numbers are exactly the same with some exceptions. One that we can give a little bit better estimate for is interest revenue, just based upon the past few months of interest. So that's why that one's a little bit different. But for the most part, those are currently just estimates based upon last year. But the district schedule of state funds, those come directly from legislative estimates that the state sends to us. So those are literally just copied and pasted from their estimates and put onto here. A couple of things to note in there. There was a slightly higher increase for ongoing funding for our at-risk. I think our increase this year was about 300,000, between 300 and 400,000 from last year, and those are ongoing funds. Another increase that we saw was in our pupil transportation, which is fantastic because speaking with our transportation director, the prices of school buses are continuing to rise at a rapid rate. So now moving on to page 60 there, this is the schedule of federal fund revenue. The big things that you're going to see here are the increased amounts from impact aid. Again, this is from the reallocation that we did back in January, where we reallocated funds from the capital fund and impact aid and reallocated them to the general fund to be able to stay competitive with a salary increase this year. Other things that are worth noting here, the large increase in restricted revenue direct from federal government from the original 2026 budget, where you see we originally budgeted $850,000 to the revised 2026 budget being at nearly $3 million. The big thing here is that we received new grants, the NYCP grant and the professional development grants that Jeff Fitzgerald is spearheading. Those were awarded this year, and so that's why there's a big difference in the amount of funding from the original budget to the revised budget there. I think that's good there. Let's jump real quick now to page 66, looking at the capital fund. So a few things to note here. The first one is the difference in the 2026 expenditures and revenue in our revised budget. You'll see the revenue this year was about $9.5 million for the revised budget 2026, and our expenditures were about $21.5 million. This is due obviously to the new building that is being built at the new Blanding Elementary School that's being built, as well as the ongoing vestibule projects. This was something that was planned for. So I thought I'd point those out here just to, there's a very big difference between those numbers, and those are obviously explainable by that. Those projects should be, the Blanding Elementary School should be either completed or nearly completed by the end of this current fiscal year. And then the vestibule projects will likely be completed by the end of fiscal year 2027. So even just looking at our proposed budget for this year, you'll see that the revenues and expenditures are starting to become a little bit closer. And just with the vestibule projects being completed by the end of fiscal year 2027, we can likely expect that the revenues will outpace pace the expenditures for fiscal year 28 and so on. Let's move on to page 67 real quick, just the next page there. A couple things to note in here. One, you'll see that there is some revenue from the Small District Rural Athletic Facilities Grant, and that's in the revised 2026 budget. So we were awarded a $500,000 grant to redo the track at San Juan High School this year. That project is set to begin here in the next couple of weeks, if not sooner. We were also informed that this grant will be available for next year. So if we are awarded that grant again for another project, for another athletic facility project, you'll see that revenue included in the revised budget from a year from now. And then, of course, the other big thing that stands out on this page is the $20 million in revenue from the actuals in fiscal year 2025, in that middle paragraph, actuals under Rural Capital Projects Grant. This was the grant that we received for the Blanding Elementary School. So we received that in 2025, and the large portion of the spending was in fiscal year 2026 for that grant. All right. Any questions so far? General fund, capital fund. Sorry, I'm moving a little bit fast here. So again, anytime you guys can pause me if you have any questions. All right. Then moving on, we'll go to page 69. 69 through 83, you can see a historical list of small miscellaneous capital projects. This is one that we can revise for the June. It hasn't been revised yet, and I think the last time it shows on here, the last time it was revised was in May of 2024. We do have a number of smaller scaled projects that are scheduled for fiscal year 2027. So I think it will be useful to update it for fiscal year 2027 at next year's budget meeting. But if the board would like, I can also get this revised and updated for the current fiscal year and have that presented for the June. So that's just one thing to note through that. That's broken down per school, so that's pages 69 through 83. And this is something that I don't believe that we're required to present, but it is helpful, and it's really good to see where our capital funds are being spent and what projects are being done. And this is only looking at small scale. You know, if at any point in time the board wanted to see what larger projects are being, you know, and those are a little bit more noticeable because we talk about those frequently at board meeting, and these are the ones that you don't see very often because they don't have to go before the board and we don't have to keep you updated as much. And so I think that was the justification for having these in here. But moving on to page 84, we'll look at the Building Reserve Fund. So this fund is somewhat unique to San Juan School District. If I understand correctly some of the history behind it, it is intended to be used for building new schools. However, it can be used, just as far as restrictions go, it can be used very much in the same way as the capital fund. But I do think that these funds were set aside and they are largely built from either interest revenue or from the leftover whatever's remaining from impact aid monies. I think it was intended to be saved up for the building of new schools. Last year, the board approved the use of the rest of the funding in here to be used on the Blanding Elementary School. And so it is our intention to kind of zero that out this year, the funds that are currently existing in there, and just kind of starting from scratch, starting a clean slate to have that built up so that the next time a big building project comes, we can pull it out of this fund. But that's a discussion that the board can have too. I listened to last year's board meeting on this, and there was a good discussion on how that should be, and I think that's the conclusion that it came to, is that we want to keep seeing this fund. You know, I think there was a discussion about whether we just do away with this fund entirely, but I think that the board, and I'll add myself to that, see some benefit in keeping this fund alive. It's funds that are specifically, you know, if we were looking at doing a new building project, rather than taking from the capital fund, which sees a lot of use in our various capital projects and miscellaneous activities through the school, this one we can look at and say this is what we have specifically set aside for the building of new schools. So any questions on that one? All right, moving on then to page 85, the next page there. This is the food service fund. I think the biggest thing to note here, and you can see that on the middle paragraph in revenues, the biggest thing to note is the transfer of funds from the general fund, which is Fund 10, into the food service fund. So the food service fund cannot operate with a negative balance. And Jennifer, if at any point in time I'm telling lies here, just feel free to come up and stop me. But the food service fund cannot operate with a negative balance. And this is something that we did receive an audit finding for in our past audit that we presented to the board. I believe that a part of this is that some of our revenues can be delayed with this, and we think that our indirects will be able to cover what would otherwise be a deficit in the future. But to tackle this and to make sure that we are never in a negative balance again, we have made a plan to start transferring funds from the general fund as needed to ensure that the food service fund balance is never in the negative. So that's the big thing to note with this particular fund. Any questions on that?
Jacob?
Yeah.
Would that need to be approved by the board?
The transfer wouldn't need to be because it's, well, in part it was approved by the board when we had the audit finding, and it was required by our auditors to do that in order to make sure that we're compliant with the state. So that's not something that necessarily needs to be approved by the board, other than the continual transfer that you'll see in proposed budget for fiscal year 2027 of $150,000. That's just something that would be approved by the board as ratification of the budget in its entirety.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. All right, so those are the major things that I wanted to highlight with the budgets here, and honestly, those are the major things that I wanted to highlight with the budget in general. That was a lot, so if you have any questions on anything that we discussed or anything that we didn't discuss, just let me know.
Just random question on some of the capital outlay projects.
Yes.
I see the description of the goal/need and then the fine, like towards the top, and these are things that have been done for the most part. They just don't have a date on them yet.
So that's one thing that I wanted to get more clarification on as well, because I think that the green ones are the ones that have been completed, and where this hasn't been updated since 2024. That's one of the reasons I didn't update this for you for this meeting, is because there was still some clarification that I needed to get.
Yeah, some of those things have been done.
Right.
And I know that we have approved some of them in the past, so that's part of why I asked that, because
Yep.
I was just like, oh.
No, that's a great
So
question.
that will be updated.
Yes, and
Probably.
obviously our capital committee, our board members on that committee are well aware of
Yeah.
some of the future goals that we have for some of these schools as well.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of updating that needs to happen with these summaries.
That was going to be exactly my question, and thank you for answering that. I would like an updated version of that if we could.
Okay, perfect.
And please thank your staff for that.
Of course,
And
yeah.
my apologies.
Yep, Steve Frankum and Roxanne Eldridge with our buildings and ground crew is a very big help with those two, and they're fantastic to work with. So I'll sit down with them and discuss which of these have already been done, and then update it with the ones since fiscal year 24 that have been completed that are under that $75,000 range.
Greatly appreciated.
All right, any other questions on the preliminary budget for fiscal year 27? And revised budget for fiscal year 26?
I know this is always an argument every time we go through the budget, but could you just review or reiterate the property tax versus the impact aid money and what that entails?
Of course, yeah. So the property tax is the funding that's received from there, and I could make this the long version or the short version, but I'll go with this version. So the state has requirements that we set a property tax rate. The state has some of its guaranteed funds that are based upon whether or not we can meet the certified rate. Whether we can meet a ratio of 0.2 between several different of our tax rates. And if we are able to meet that if the certified rate is able to meet that, then we don't have to do what's called truth in taxation to increase it. But if we're able to meet that number, then we get guaranteed funding from the state, guaranteed matched funding from the state. But the state does require us to set the property tax rate first before they give us some of the state funding that is available. And so with us, a large portion of our school district isn't on taxed property. You know, and this is specifically our tribal lands. And so the federal government looks at that and says these are properties that are federally tax exempt properties. So there's money with that we otherwise would have received if those lands had to pay property taxes. So the federal government gives us and it's different from anything that the state of Utah uses. The federal government has its own formula and has its own way of coming up with the number that they come up with. but they give us a distribution in lieu of property taxes that offsets the loss that we would have received had we had those lands been taxable property. And so the way that we do that, we get that list, and this is something that we talk about in January every year. We get a list of our students that live on tribal lands, on federally tax exempt lands. And the amount that we received is directly related to the number of students that we have that live on those lands. So another thing to note is that the state of Utah cannot decrease the WPU, the number of units that we get, just because we have students that don't live on taxed property. So we still get WPUs based upon average daily membership for all of our students that live on tribal lands. So our funding from the state doesn't decrease just because we get impact aid funding, if that makes sense. Our property taxes might be decreased, but our revenue from the state does not decrease just because we have students that aren't living on taxable property.
Great, thank you.
Of course.
All right, would now be a good time to ask if there's money in the budget for possibly paying some of our board members a little bit more.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
And I just want to get any input from other board members if you would be open to, I don't know how long it's been since there's been any kind of a quote-unquote raise in what the board gets paid, but I kind of thought that it might be something we ought to talk about.
I think it's been a dang long time because I remember having this discussion years ago and I don't think there was any action taken on it, so.
Okay.
I don't think it's been done for
Many years.
many years.
And I want to just assure the board too that if it was to happen, I've already talked to President Barton about this, that it certainly wouldn't sink us. When I'm doing the increase for the cost of living adjustment, I try to make sure that I'm not expending every single dollar that's available as new funding. I do have a shortfall or an excess portion there that shows me the excess after taking all these things into consideration. And so if there was an increase, it would be something that I believe that we would be able to do without having to decrease the cost of living adjustment. Depending, of course, on the amount. If you're increasing by 30,000, that'd be a different story. But
And I would like to note that, we are a very proactive and active board. I think we talked about some of the things that we do as board members, and it's not just showing up to board meeting. And I think we are all trying to be as active in the different committees that we're in, and that's something that didn't even exist in the past, that we didn't have committees that we were all actively part of, so.
I'll add to that. I think also the distance between our schools and attending any type of event, just graduation alone, how much travel is going to occur with that, as well as the significant support that we receive with all of our tribal consultation, both with our Navajo-Utah Commission, with our White Mesa meetings. The board does provide additional supports that may be in the context that other school districts maybe in Utah are not required. I don't know required is the right word, but they're not necessary in those districts to really be an effective board. So just add that to the conversation.
And I would like to say that I think you have as well seen changes with those interactions with tribal leadership as we, as a board, are more proactive in our advocacy. So thank you for all that you do to help with that. Those of you that don't just show up and try to twist arms, but actually have a personal interest. So again, thank you for all that we do. And I don't know what that would look like. I just did want to
yeah, of course. I think the best thing that could, and it doesn't need to be necessarily anything that's voted on, because ultimately it would just be approved in our final budget adoption in June. But the best thing that I think that you all could do as a body is give me a number per month that you'd like to see that increased, and Jennifer and I would just go on and have that increase be reflected in next budget meeting in our expenditure for the proposed budget.
Okay. All right, I don't know what more to say. I don't know if any of you have any opinions on that, but we can talk about that more another time, too. Colleen, go ahead.
I was just going to ask Jacob, and I think you already answered it, if that's something we could have for June in the budget, so that way we're also aligning with our transparency that we advocate for.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, it would be built into just the Fund 10 general expenditures under the salary schedule. And, it would just be reflected there. But yeah, it would be reflected in our final budget adoption in June.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, before we go to lunch, why don't you just do a little overview of the auditing services?
Of course. Is there an amount that you want me to take back?
Did I say lunch? It's dinner, but wherever we are in the day.
Is there an amount per month that you want me that the board wants me to look at in that increase for June? Just because I don't believe there's an action item.
Would it be helpful to look into what other similar districts are paying? We could do some.
He has done a little bit, he told me.
Yeah.
School, Park Cities.
Park.
I like it.
You're asking the right questions.
I think we could make that a work, what was
work
it called?
meeting?
A work something meeting, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll table that for now, and we'll just make sure that we keep discussing that
Okay.
over the next month, and we'll
Okay.
get an amount in there.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
everybody's afraid to say.
I just haven't it's just, I hadn't even thought
There
anything
hasn't-
about this, so.
I haven't
Yeah.
either, so.
And it's not an action item, but I've been feeling like it was something that we needed to discuss, and I thought this was a good time to probably mention it, so. And
Well,
yeah,
I
we
think,
definitely
like-
don't want to break the budget, but I would like to see my people compensated for the work that they're doing
Sure.
and stay active in what, my people, I mean us, I'm one of them. We're all together in this. That was the wrong way to say it, but you know what I mean. What were you going to say, Colleen?
I was just going to also support what you were saying, Nan, and also keep it with the transparency part of it. And oh gosh, I just lost what I was going to say. But if Jacob, if you can do a presentation and have it equal to the cost of living, or at least around that area, I mean, that would give us as a board to go off of as well.
Sure,
So-
yeah. And what I'll plan on doing, just because it will kind of be swallowed up in just the expenditure report for next board meeting, I'll just make sure that I touch on that increase specifically, and I'll say the amount that it was increased. Just for, if we're looking for transparency purposes, I'll just make sure that I touch on the exact amount that it increased per month in that calculation.
Okay, thank you for being willing to think on that. And yeah, I like Don. Board Member Mose, reach for the stars.
All right, so moving on to auditing services before dinner, is that?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and just talk about that really quick.
Okay, and I think I can do this one fairly quickly. Just pulling up the bid tabulation there. All right. So the next thing here is just our RFP for auditing services for the next 5 fiscal years. Our contract that we currently have with SMU and Richard Marsing expired after the end of fiscal year 25 for them to review that budget. So we do have to go through the formal process to select a new auditing organization to conduct our audits for the next 5 fiscal years. Our policy requires that our San Juan School District Auditing Committee select our auditing firm from the list of qualified applicants. Per district policy, the auditing committee is made up of 2 members of the board, and in this case, that's President Barton and Vice President Benali. And it may include up to 2 members of the community who are not currently employed by the school district. Our community members were appointed at last board meeting, if you recall, and we did have a meeting with our entire auditing committee this past month, just a couple of weeks ago, in fact, to review the bids that we received for auditing services. So if you look at this attachment here for the bid tabulation, You'll see that SMU and Rich and Marsing did have the lowest overall bid as far as pricing goes. And they did also receive the recommendation from our auditing committee. This was the firm that was recommended by our auditing committee. So the board, the decision that it'll have is just to, whether it wants to approve the committee's recommendation and officially award SMU and Rich and Marsing the contract. And that is all with that. Any questions on that?
I don't have any.
All right, and just to clarify, this would be fiscal year 26 through fiscal year 30 that they'd be auditing. All right.
Good.
A little bit quicker than the budget.
Okay, so at this time, we will adjourn for dinner, and then we'll come. Our Innovations in STEM Award winners, and also, and they're all finalists and winners, yeah. Go ahead and explain how that works.
Stand up since I've got all of these fun gifts in front of me. So Texas Instrument has awarded San Juan School District 2 grant funding for awarding excellence in science and STEM. And so we are going to honor the winners of that this year, and then also the finalists. We have a gift for them as well, so we're going to honor them as well. And this is put together by a district committee. We use a model that Texas Instrument uses. They've been doing this program actually in Texas for a very long time. And then they chose San Juan School District and Alpine School District in Utah to honor their work, particularly San Juan because of the work we do with Native American students. And I just found out today via email that their board approved this award again for next year. So we're super excited about that. This is our second year of the award. The first year we only had one award to give out, and then they expanded that last year so that we could have an elementary and a secondary award each year. So super exciting, and to our finalists, you may be back again next year.
Okay, so we'll start with our finalists, and we'll probably get pictures of each of you, and then pictures all together. So, does that work?
Yeah.
We'll start with Bailey Spence. Thank you for leading the way in STEM innovation and inspiring a lifelong love of learning and discovering during the 2025-2026 school year.
Thank you. Congratulations. Appreciate y'all.
Okay, Julie Bunker, and then Ron, will you go ahead and give her?
I don't know, Julie. Are we sure on this one?
Right, Julie. Congratulations to you.
I don't want to.
You don't want to get up?
I don't want to lose my balance.
Okay, and Sharmita Benali is not here.
She wasn't able to make it, so we can award
So,
that to her.
we'll go ahead and let you. Christina Boone was awarded last week the $7,000 check. We were able to go into the school. $10,000 check, even better. Sorry.
Have you decided how you're spending your money?
Did you come up in a new car?
Nice, she's gonna go to Hawaii.
There you go.
And that'll make you a better science teacher for sure.
Yeah.
You get some relaxation and you can learn about the environment.
All right, and we were able to award a check to Jamie Carling as well. So come on up.
And I was just gonna add, Ryan was talking about some of your data today, but
Yeah.
you told me that you had a whole class that scored proficient.
A whole chemistry class, all proficient, 100%.
Chemistry, yeah,
that's
Wow.
That's cool.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Do you want everybody or?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do a group picture.
So many If we angle just a little bit this way, then I can see the flags on black sheet. And that would be ideal. And then squeeze closer together, but I won't see any like heads or arms or hands behind you from our CPAC. Thank you so much. Yay. Thanks, guys.
At this time, we would normally have the opportunity for public comment, but we don't seem to have anybody that has requested to make a public comment, so we will go ahead and move back to the agenda, which I believe the next item was the construction of the Blanding Elementary.
That's right, and this very well could be my shortest blending update that we've had to date. Big part of that is that they are nearing completion here. So if you just would open up that link there with the PowerPoint, we can just go over a few things in here, just a few of the highlights, and you can just go through the pictures on here more than anything. I none of the pictures really highlight any of the, other than, let's go to 5 actually, go to slide 5. This is something that is new. This is the mural that's hanging in the gym, and I don't know if the picture on this does it justice, but it's very big, very beautiful. Let me know too if you want to come by and take a look, because that brings me to the next thing. We won't have to ask permission anymore. One of the biggest highlights that we had is today is our substantial completion date, which means that the fire marshal has had its inspection and deemed that the building is fit for occupancy. So there are still a few things that need to be finished on the building before it's done and before our contractor is no longer working on the building. But we do have, but it does mean that the building is safe to inhabit and all the major things are accomplished in there. So currently we're ongoing with punch list items, which are those items that are just not quite up to what you would expect from a brand new building. These are very, very, every construction project that you have is going to have this, very normal, but they're ongoing and working on those, and they're doing a fantastic job. Currently the exterior metal siding, and you can kind of see some of that on the second slide there. So the side work and the millwork is ongoing. It's nearing completion. All the murals, including the one in the gym, as you saw on that slide 5, are installed at this point. If you look on the third slide, you can see that the grass is installed in the back. I think that was something that's new from last board meeting as well.
I would like to comment on that.
Of course.
We take the walk all the time, and of course we have a soccer field behind. I have a soccer field behind my house, but this grass is good. I'm excited that those kids are going to have a good place to play, and neighborhood kids as well, and hopefully we can keep it nice.
No, it's beautiful, and it's getting to the point now. So when they first lay the sod down, it looks pretty rough. It's very, very yellow, and so they have to get it up to this point. It does require an amount of watering that is not going to continue. We'll put it that way, but it's getting to the point now to where we can start limiting that watering as well and maintain it at its current level. But yes, it's beautiful. It's very good dirt that's under there. That's obviously one of the problems that we've had district-wide is where we put our grass down, needing to have better soil in some of that. And so that was one of the things that was discussed early on in this project before I got here, and made sure that the soil for this particular field was sufficient for the grass there. And so, yep, I'm very thrilled with how that turned out. So that's it with the progress update. But there's a discussion that we need to have now, just with the project winding up and the school year beginning in the fall. We just wanted to talk about some dates for an open house at the new Blanding Elementary School. And this will be a combination of 3 things, and they don't all necessarily have to be on the same day. But if possible, it would be nice to have them all on the same day, and that's the open house, the blessing on the building, and the ribbon cutting. And we just wanted to pitch these to the board. You know, it's not something that needs an action item, but if there are any recommendations, you guys can let us know that during this portion of the discussion. Just we want to be able to have as many board members there as possible, or at least give you the opportunity to. So some of the dates that we had available on our calendar, and again, these are all just recommendations. You don't have to go with any of them. The 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th of August, with our preference being the 7th. That's just a Friday. I think if we had it sometime Friday in the evening time, we would have a better chance of getting more people from the community to be able to come out. So 7th is probably the date that we're pitching the most, but again, we're wanting to work with all of your calendars. We could also look at Saturday dates, August 1st or August 8th, if those are easier for everybody, because again, we just want as many board members to have the opportunity to attend. So I'm going to open that up for the board now for a discussion on any of those dates and see what your collective thoughts are on that.
And school board meeting is the 4th, so.
School board meeting is the 4th. The first day of school is the
17th.
17th, okay.
The teachers will be returning to the classroom on the 13th, but I would expect them moving into their classrooms before that, so. Just know you're probably going to have teachers in the building the week of the 10th.
Is that the fair week?
The fair week is the 14th and 15th, that weekend.
Oh,
The
okay.
14th, 15th, 16th, I'm pretty sure. I looked it up.
Okay.
I think, you sure?
I'm going to look right now again.
It's
but
usually,
I looked it up to see.
It is probably the 10th.
Nope, August 6th. August 6th is,
That's the concert.
that's the concert.
yeah, so the fair,
It would be that week.
it would be that week.
1st through 8th, yep. Yeah, that's something to think about too. And, you know, we could even, especially now that we do have occupancy, if we needed to, we could even push it back into July.
What about that last week of July?
Yeah, as long as it doesn't the last week of July.
You've got the 23rd and the 24th.
Yeah, the 24th is always
before.
celebrated on
Right.
that weekend.
29th, 30th.
So we have our administrative leadership days, the 29th and 30th, so it'd be difficult to do it on those 2 days.
Would the 31st be an option?
The 31st, the 27th, or 28th would be, yeah.
I
The
think
31st, we would probably not do the school blessing. That is the Utah Native American Summit, so we'll
Oh,
have.
that's right, I remember
But those don't have
those.
to be scheduled on the same day. If it makes sense to have the open house on a different day than the blessing, then we can absolutely do that too.
All in one.
Personally, this 27th or 28th would work fine for me.
27th, 20th, the Monday or Tuesday?
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm open the whole week, so.
The 28th would give a,
So I guess my question about the fair is that we just don't want to schedule the same days as the fair? Do
We will
feel
lose
like-
people. It is a big deal for some
Because they will be
families.
attending every day of the
Yes.
fair.
gotcha.
And they stay there and they, well, we speak, yeah. I mean, we did just, talk about FFA and there's, yeah. And Jean only says that because she's part of that.
Should we try to shoot for July 28th? I think that would give an opportunity for people that are gone for the 24th weekend to be back in town and,
Yeah.
I'm good with the 28th.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, and that is everything with Blanding Elementary School. Any questions before we move on? Pretty basic one for the progress report today, so.
Colleen, are you still with us?
She's not.
Okay. Oh, did she have to? Okay.
All right. Moving on then to capital projects. Okay. So first, we'll look at San Juan High, if you wouldn't mind opening up those pictures there. And we'll just start from the top, and you can scroll through those, Jake, as we discuss some of the highlights here. The first few pictures, and you can just go through them with, as I talk here, but some of the major milestones that we've seen since our last meeting is the xeriscaping that you saw at the front of the building. That's all in place, and that looks really, really good. They did a fantastic job, and they did have the addition of the chet, the walking path. That's along the front of the building there. So that was updated since the last time. Some other milestones. They've started punching the interior of the building. So as you continue scrolling through here, you might notice some pieces of blue tape scattered across. Those are just the items that just need a little bit of additional love to get up to the finished product, if you will. And so the punch list is ongoing there. But yeah, overall the project is looking great, and it's going to be done before we know it here. I would imagine next time we come to board meeting, I'll be giving you the update that this portion of the vestibule projects is finished. But I'll just give Jake an opportunity to go through the rest of the pictures here, and then we can move on to the next building. And this is the concurrent enrollment area, or the old band room for those that know it. And this is the currently what is being used as the IT office. They're doing some updates in there as well, just to kind of get that updated. Wood paneling looks great, but all right.
And is that just the Steve Frankum's people that are doing the IT, or is that still part of the?
Yeah, it's mostly Steve.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay.
All right, moving on to the vestibule project at Albert R. Lyman. If you remember, this project started. We had the board select a contractor for this just recently. We are just in the thick of demolition right now, so that's what these pictures are all going to be. You can just scroll through these as well. Not a lot to report on that, other than the demolition is moving rather quickly. I've had lots of people that have asked me what's going on in the back of the building. That's just where the two new classroom additions are going to be. And these are all the pictures from the front of the building, where the parking lot and the new entrance of the building is going to be on the south side of the building. And then moving on to Monticello. I made the mistake of not having somebody take this picture for me, so I did drive round trip for one picture. But this is all that's happening so far. They're doing the demolition for the bathroom across from the gym. This used to be a classroom, and it's going to be turned into a bathroom. So that's the demolition that started at Monticello High. All right, those are the capital follow-up projects on our vestibules. Any questions with any of those?
It's not, so they have officially started with that, but
They have, yep.
mostly it's, okay.
Mhm. And part of that, we didn't start the projects at San Juan High and Montezuma Creek until a little bit later on in the summer.
Yes.
Those projects have been ongoing now. I mean, San Juan is still kind of ongoing at this point, so we just wanted to be able to start as early as possible. We talked with the principals, and they both said, yes, please, even if it means having to start during this school year, get in, and we just want to see those done. And so they're cruising along and doing a great job.
Okay. Turn the time over to me, I guess. So we do need to have one representative from our board for the delegate assembly. I am an alternate with our, what's it called, our region. So I could be there to vote as our district's delegate, but I could also be there as an alternate, which I'm open for either. But if we have someone else that's willing to also serve in that, we could both go. So I'm just putting that out there.
When is the date?
It's June
5th is the pre-delegate, so that evening, and then the
That's
delegate
Friday.
assembly is actually June
Yeah.
6th. But June 6th is the most important.
And you can attend the pre-delegate virtually. It's at Canyons. And it's pretty straightforward. It's just good to be aware of what we're unified in advocating for with the other school districts. So go ahead and tell a little bit more about that.
I was just going to say, the pre-delegate is just helpful so that you have some time to think and
What
do
your
any
stance is
research
on the-
for the next
Mhm.
day, because what they're doing is giving you the information, knowing that the next day there will be a discussion and voting.
You're gonna be there. I'm good with you representing this.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense unless somebody else wants to drive up there.
And we can let Colleen know since she's not here. She might.
Exactly. I'll mention it to Colleen too. But like I said, I just wanted to leave it out there. I am willing to go. But like I said, we would probably, if we had another person, we could both be heard because oftentimes they do need that many numbers. So just putting it out there. And if you don't want to volunteer for it right now, reach out to me. It's not an action item. It's just something that we do need to appoint someone to do that. And as I said, I think it's great to have extra voices advocating for our communities. So, thanks. Board training and development, I forgot that we had talked about doing a video, and I didn't get that done. So, we can just move on from that. Just a video related to, how the auditing system works, that it's just good for all of us to be informed on that, so. I think we've covered, my
The
agenda wasn't
consent, I
working.
do have a comment to make on.
So
consent.
let's move on to the consent agenda. And before we vote on that, we're always supposed to say, we got to approve the consent agenda and then if there's any discussion on that, so.
We just need to, White Horse's activity report is incorrect, so if you make a motion under 13, there is language for you, but we will need to, if we approve the consent agenda, I recommend not approving White Horse's activity report.
So I would make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of number 11, the fall 2026 activity report from White Horse. We allow them to bring that back in a future meeting, but we approve the rest of the consent agenda as listed on the agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? Did anybody want to discuss anything related to the consent agenda? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. At this time, we've covered everything except closed session, and we do need to go into closed session related
Want
to.
to do action items, information items,
Oh,
but we can just
we
be
might
done
as
at
well,
the end.
you're right.
Yeah.
If
that
you
we don't have
all
to
are
come back.
okay with us going to closed session at the end, I know sometimes people don't love that, but if everybody's good with that, we can do that. Okay. So before we go into closed session, we do need to look at the possible action items. We talked about What Works in Schools research proposal. So we'll need a motion related to that if we want to move forward with that. And it's,
Is it to
yeah,
approve?
if you look at the recommended action, it can kind
Language
of
if
help
you
you know
want to
what to
approve
say.
it.
It's on the possible action.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's a short one, that one, I can give yours the link. Oh, okay, guys. I would like to recommend to approve the research design of the What Works in School demonstration grant.
Second.
Okay, Lucy, I'll second that. Any discussion?
Come on, go.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I know, mine was being weird too. It kept kicking me off, and then I could
okay.
see the agenda, but not the. Okay, next is the strategic planning collateral.
I'll make a motion to approve the strategic planning collateral with the recommended edits.
Okay.
I'll second them.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, at this time, we can look at the employee compensation package for school year.
I motion to approve the employee compensation package and salary schedules for the 2026-2027 school year.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. And then related to the auditing,
I'll recommend to adopt the recommendations of the auditing committee and award the contract for the auditing services for the fiscal year 26 through fiscal year 30 to Samuel, Rich, and Marcin.
I'll second.
okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. We'll go ahead and let you discuss the information.
Okay. Our next board meeting will be June 16th, 2026, here at the district office and broadcast virtually. This is also our budget hearing. Last day of school will be May 22nd, 2026, not 2025. And attached, you will see the graduation schedules. And just a reminder that Eva did send out the graduation and event schedule retirements for you to fill out. So if you need help with that, just reach out to Eva or myself and we can help you.
I was trying, I wasn't sure, it wasn't working.
Yeah, if you're
for
having a
something.
problem with the Excel aspect of it, just text or call and say, this is what I want to volunteer for.
Is it not opening or?
I couldn't go in and reserve because I wanted to say I would be at Monticello High School.
Marcel High School? Okay,
It wasn't letting me.
there should just be little drop-down arrows that you click on and select yes or no.
Okay.
But you can also just let Eva know and she can update that
You got
form
that,
as
Eva?
well.
Do that as much as you guys want.
And I'm assuming that I will accept the graduates for that one.
Okay, that's what
And then our
We have that
board,
assigned for the others?
we plan to attend the retirement, there's retirement events on there as well, and then
Yeah.
we'd like a board member to present their gifts.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have, but I talked to
Yeah.
the superintendent, I'm not available.
So, yeah,
Still
I'll let you
retired.
know. I should be able to do most of those. Oh, I did notice there was a typo on one of those. It had PM instead of AM. I don't, yeah.
and then we've attached the board administrative meeting schedule for 2026, 2027. We'll discuss our July board meeting at next month's board meeting to determine if that is needed. And then we have our pre-delegate, delegate assembly June 5th and 6th.
And again, I'm not saying you have to, but if anybody wants to, we could both vote in that most likely, so just saying. Okay, we will need to go into closed session, so at this time, we can exclude thank you guys for being here and for smiling at us and making us feel like maybe we're doing a decent job over here, we're trying. We're gonna go ahead and go into closed session, and I will need a motion, for both, sorry.
Purchase and exchange.
Purchase and exchange of property and litigation.
I'll make a motion to go into, do we need to make them separately?
I think we can do both.
We can make them separately, but then we can go in and stay in, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session for purchase of
For
real
exchange,
property,
yeah.
an exchange of real property. Let's do that one first.
Okay, so I'll need a second on that.
Second.
No, it's oh.
Who? Okay, roll call.
Lucille, she's quick on the
Ron
draw.
Nielsen, yes.
Lucille Cody, yes.
Nan Barton, yes.
Don Rose, yes.
Okay.
You want to make a motion on the other one?
Motion for litigation, closed session.
I'll
for
make a
lit-
motion
To go into closed.
to go into closed sessions for litigation.
I'll second. Okay, go ahead. Don.
Okay, you got the second that time. All right, roll call.
Ron Nielsen, yes.
Lucille Cody, yes.
Nan Barton, yes.
Don Rose, yes.
Okay, again, thank you.